gracious, everybody, if it isn't episode 112 of the Warhammer 40,000 podcast known as Look Out Sir. My name's Dan, and it's that bit at the beginning of the show where I introduce my good buddy Phil. How's it going, Philip?
Goodness gracious me!
Lordy, lordy!
Oh my!
Oh my! If it isn't episode 112, what a time to be alive, Phil.
Exactly. It's a glorious time to be still not dead.
Exactly. I mean, you know, having been dead for the majority of time, I can, attest that it's not that great. I'm much happier as I am right now than the alternative.
I would hope so.
Although I suppose that enters into a weird kind of theoretical aspect of things, which is, was I dead before I was born?
I presume you were just not a thing, unless you, of course, have been resurrected.
It's an intriguing set of, ideals, isn't it?
But, we're not a philosophical podcast, so you can go somewhere else.
Thank goodness, because we struggle to say the word.
Oh, I know.
This is one of those things that we've got a lot of listeners, I've noticed lately, Phil, who point out our inability to say specific words, which I find hilarious.
I know, it's quite embarrassing, isn't it?
It is, but they all sort of come out of the woodwork going, for the love of God, can you not just say insert word properly?
Is this mostly YouTube comments by any chance?
No, I think they come from various places. I've seen a few on the old Facebooks and other places. People like to point out our...
you need to... Is it corrections for you and me?
Oh, I see what's happening here. Are you throwing me under the bus, suggesting this is all on me?
No, I'm suggesting that if you've seen them and it's stuff I need to pronounce, you haven't told me. So you're just leaving me to keep saying it wrong, deliberately.
Mate, I don't pay them any attention. When I look at stuff like that, I'm like, well, whatever. I'm not going to change. I've been speaking this way for as long as I've been around. So, I'm not about to change it now.
Well, fair enough.
Although, Phil, on the topic of change, have you been to a Games Workshop store lately, or Warhammer store, as they're called these days?
I have not, no.
Beautiful point of sale. My goodness, the in-store theatre of Christmas time Warhammer is quite a delight. It's pretty. I went into the store in Basingstoke the other day. I wandered in. They've got this beautiful red freestanding display unit at the front. With pamphlets that you can pick up, free pamphlets. I mean, I love the fact that Games Workshop is so utterly, tight that the fact they're giving away a leaflet of sales information is seen as, a great thing. But they are bigging it up.
Yeah, because I think I saw a couple of people post them up online and everyone was speculating that the Christmas battalion box sets weren't actually arriving. Oh, you've actually got one, as I see. But then weirdly, they have just announced them today as of time of recording. And they're not in the Christmas guide, which is a bit odd because you would have thought it would have been in there, but is what it is.
No, the festive guide does not contain anything other than the stuff that's already out there in the world right now.
Apparently it has a fun Red Gobbo game, though.
It has a wish list of Dear Red Gobbo, so you can send that, obviously, as an alternative to Santa Claus. It's got the New Year, New Army pledge that they obviously love getting. It's got this lovely little Citadel painting guide.
And that's clever. Yeah.
So you can,
tick off all your colours.
Yourself. Exactly. If you tick off all the colours, that's That's £7 million worth of paint right there. There you go. Quite likely. And some other stuff. Anyway, there you go. But it was just nice. I wandered in. They got Christmas trees and stuff, but not all themed around the Red Gobbo. It was very pleasant.
Oh, that's cool.
I recommend going to a Games Workshop store and looking at all the point of sale. It's very pretty. Gets you in the Christmas mood, Phil.
Oh, I bet it does.
Absolutely. Although, again, it's too soon to talk about Christmas, but it's not too soon to talk about what's going to be happening on today's show. Phil, take it away.
Do you know what? I can't actually remember what we talked about yesterday.
We talked about Rogue Trader.
Oh, that was it. So, yes, we reviewed, thank you very much, Dan. We reviewed book 2 of Warzone Octarius. Is it book of What was it called? I can't remember.
It's something to do with like getting bigger in it or something.
Yeah, something like that. We should have done more preparation. Anyway, as part of that, while you're looking it up, we talked about the new Rogue Trader rules, which is actually Astra Cartographica, as they've now been renamed. That was it, isn't it? We didn't do any of the York stuff.
No, we haven't got around to the Orc stuff yet. That's another episode.
That'll be probably next week. But also today, because this is effectively a double part recording, we have been graced by Richie. Say hello, Richie. He's not on this bit yet. It'll be coming later. But Richie comes on, and he last weekend went to the Escape from something like Paraxis, which
was a Crusade event at Warhammer World, and it was dead fancy. So we got him on to talk about that, basically.
Yeah. So those were the two topics that we'll be talking about tonight.
Warzone Octarius Book 2, Critical Mass.
Critical Mass. That is how, because the orcs get dead big.
Yep. That was what I remembered. It was something to do with an expansion of size. Anyway, on the topic of expanding sizes, let's move on. It doesn't really work, but the 5-star review.
Peter!
Oh, hello, Dad.
What are you doing in here, son?
Oh,
What have I told you about wasting your time with these little plastic figurines?
It's not a waste of time, I like it.
How dare you talk back to me, Peter? It's about time you grew up.
I don't want to grow up. Oh, man, maybe there's something on the radio. Yeah, this is nicer.
Peter!
What's that?
That's right, it's me, the ghost of a award-winning TV and radio presenter, Jeremy Beadle.
Jeremy Beadle?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Now let me tell you here, Sonny, my dad was always telling me to grow up, and I never did. And look how successful I was. So ignore him, Peter, and keep playing with that little plastic crack. And while you're at it, listen to the Look Out Sir podcast, which right now is time for the 5-star review.
Wow, thanks, Jeremy.
Who are you talking to with that, son?
Jeremy Beadle.
What? No!
This week's 5-star review comes from where, Phil?
Facebook.
Facebook of America?
Yes. Of Apple Podcasts. Facebook.
Oh, okay. You're changing it entirely now to Apple Podcasts of America.
Well, there isn't a Facebook of America. It's just Facebook.
No, there isn't. There isn't. I was trying to, lead you down the path to correctness, Phil. Yeah, you are right. It is Apple Podcasts of the United States of America. Well done. This podcast review reads, great podcast, 5 stars. And it comes 5 stars. See what I say about people complaining about me not saying words properly. 5 stars. And it comes from an individual by the identity of JTmichigan.
No.
I assume that is an individual who dwells in Michigan, potentially.
Could be.
You ever been to Michigan, Phil?
I haven't been to America at all, sad to say.
You've never been to anywhere in America?
No, I haven't.
Blimey. You haven't even gone to Disneyland?
I've been to Disneyland Tokyo. And
Tokyo?
I've been
I thought you were going to say Paris.
I have also been to Disneyland Paris, yes.
Tokyo.
Or maybe, what was it, Euro World or whatever it was called back in the day, yeah.
I went to Disneyland in Hong Kong once. It's very odd. Although it's pretty fun. But it is weird because you're very, very much in China, in so much as all of the fauna and general kind of surrounding area has a very kind of, Chinese vibe to it, or Hong Kong vibe to it. But yet there's Mickey Mouse on a blimp in a parade driving by, and it's very like, oh, okay. Very strange.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was going to deviate on to talk about Tokyo, but I won't. Let's just get on with a 5-star review.
Yeah, let's do that. So it comes from JTmichigan, and this individual writes, great podcast, 5 stars, which is, of course, a prerequisite of a 5-star review. Fun podcast. They keep up on the big 40k releases and somehow make talking about 40k for 2+ hours. Crikey, 2+ hours. That's rookie numbers, mate. When's the last time we ever did a podcast that was only 2+ hours?
I know.
I tried to get this one in under 3 hours. Would you believe it, Phil?
It's not going to happen.
No, it isn't. It hasn't happened at all. Not a chance. But yeah, apparently we managed to talk about 40k for 2+ hours. Not ever getting boring, apparently. which is quite a remarkable feat, I would say.
I mean, pat ourselves on the back.
We do. And that's it, Phil. That's the full extent of the review. Basically, it's a fun podcast. We talk about stuff going on in 40k, and we're very rarely, if not never, ever boring.
I'll take that.
I can't believe that's true, though. We must have been boring on a few occasions.
I mean, there might be a few times later on, maybe. I'm not blaming Richie. I'm just saying,
I love the fact that you're saying you're not blaming Richie when you clearly are. What other part were you going to say was boring then?
I mean,
bear in mind, Richie listens to this. The poor guy.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Oh, are you? That's it. It's always just a little subtle jab to the ribs there. Oh, all fun between friends. I thought it was very entertaining listening to Richie tell us all about
honestly,
what happened at the event.
It was good.
I love the sincerity of that statement there. Yes. Yeah, it was all right. Anyway, thank you so much, JTmichigan, for your 5-star review and for seemingly being the catalyst that created this rift in our friendship with Richie. Hopefully he forgives us for, well, not me, Rich. I'm on your back. Not on your back. That would be a whole...
Riding him around.
I'm riding him around, absolutely. He is the beast that I travel about on. But no, Phil is obviously less keen.
I mean, we've got to repair this, Richie, because we're doing a doubles together. So
that's true. That's how that's going to go. Anyway, Phil, say thank you to JTmichigan so as we can get on with the rest of this glorious pod.
Exactly. Thank you very much, JTmichigan. Whether you are from Michigan or not, we will never know. You can always reach out to us on our Instagram and let us know. But thank you very much. Glad to know we are not boring. We do try to delight, entertain, sometimes be factually correct, and then other times, we don't fact check this thing. We barely remembered what the Warzone Octarius book was that we're talking about right after this, no doubt. But yeah, thank you very much.
Beautiful. And if you would like to be like JTmichigan and get yourself read out on our 5-star review segment, you need only leave us a 5-star review. And also, this is that moment of the pod where I subtly remind people that we have a Patreon by saying thank you to patrons who essentially make it possible for us to do this podcast without, slapping loads of advertising all over it, because we don't really want to do that. And fortuitously, our glorious patrons make that possible. So thank you to them. And then lastly, there's merchandise. We might get around to doing some Christmas-themed merch if Phil can... work his magic over the coming days, but well, you never know. We're probably not going to. I mean, let's be fair, Phil. It hasn't been much of a hit for us, really, has it? The old merch. Maybe this is a venture we need to abandon.
I mean, I think maybe dice trays, as we, it will be the winner.
I think so. Anyway, until that comes about, thank you all of you for listening. We hope you enjoy the show. We're going to get on with it now. So this is us talking about Astra
Cartographica.
Road Trade. Thank you. Road Traders to you and I. Transitional noise. Welcome back, everyone. In this part of the podcast, myself and Phil are going to go through the process of talking about Astra Cartographica, which apparently is a new word to describe what once was rogue traders. Is that about right, Phil?
Yeah, the Astra Cartographica. And
sorry, I apologize.
But you're right. They are still, in essence, the rogue traders from the Kill Team expansion that came out after the first edition of Kill Team came out. Where you
Blackstone Fortress as well, though, Phil. I think that's where you were going with the old, black statement.
Yeah, there's been, I think, 3 rogue trader models over the course of recent years. One was from Kill Team, one was from Blackstone Fortress, and then the other one was from that weird mini game, which I actually have behind me, but I can't. Combat Arena.
Yes, Combat Arena.
Where you got a rogue trader where she's got some dueling pistols and a little servitors like reloading. Not servitor, servo skull floating around and reloading one. So that's the third model for rogue traders.
There are also some Necromunda characters that could arguably have a kind of rogue trader-esque vibe to them, I suppose.
Oh, totally. And I quite often have seen one of the new, it was like a Warhammer Quest Kislev character from that very rare and now quite forgotten about lovely game. One of them has been quite often converted into a rogue trader because he just looks like one pretty much off the bat. And then you just need to swap out his gun for like a las pistol or something.
Very nice. Very nice. So yes, the Cartographikas are essentially, as we've already indicated, some form of rogue trader. And I'm sure it won't surprise you to understand that they occupy that Agents of the Imperium style space, or are they Agents of the Imperium?
It does, no. Yeah, they are agent of the Imperium, yeah.
Are they? Okay, fantastic. So they are able to essentially do Agent of the Imperium style things, which is quite interesting. So I suppose we might as well just get into talking about their abilities and other bits and pieces. Or was there any other kind of like fluffy fun stuff that you wanted to talk about on the topic of rogue traders, Phil? I mean, the whole basis of them is that they basically float around selling stuff, right? That's about the broad strokes.
Yeah, or they're going out to explore new parts of space. Quite often they're like with the Explorator fleets going out.
Odd naming convention for a bunch of people that are exploring, isn't it?
Yeah, so I guess, well, the Astra Cartographica, I guess, is more like, the implication is they're kind of mapping stuff. But yeah, they've got a license of trade or warrant of trade, which allows them, it's got actual rules, but I think in essence they can often take imperial units. They've got lots of wealth and resources. I think all the rogue traders, like, they tend to be from trading families, like they're sort of almost like not quite monarchies in and of themselves, but they're very wealthy and powerful people. And the warrant of trade gets passed down to the next generation, so it's all within the family. So mafias in space is maybe the better way of looking at them.
I mean, that sounds absolutely stupendous. Who wouldn't want to be playing the Space Mafia?
Exactly. And I think some of them go off and do get warrants to like actually trade with Xenos, or maybe they're not doing it officially, but doing it more under the radar and kind of black market trading.
Pretty exciting, pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, it sounds like an exciting addition to the 40k game. Not that it's strictly an addition, because obviously these models have been around for a while. Intriguing though that they have released these rules but not given us the actual miniatures. That's strange, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I sort of think they're gonna release them separately at one point or another, and maybe
you think they do it now, wouldn't you?
Oh, completely, yeah. I mean, but maybe due to logistical reasons, as is all with their stuff at the moment, the books are sometimes out of sync with the model range. So maybe they are going to come and bring them out in a separate box set, but they just haven't yet. So, maybe January time we'll see these guys pop up. Again, it's very weird. It's very rare you see them produce rules for miniatures which aren't currently in circulation. They're not widely available. Games Workshop don't sell them. So, but some of the models are. So as we said, the one from Combat Arena. So the Combat Arena game still sold in Germany and America. So they might feel obliged to write rules for that one model to keep it valid, even though I believe the current existing rules, I think, are from the indexes, and they're still, I guess, technically valid, even though they're from 8th edition, so they're like the most out-of-date rules going around. And maybe they've just gone, well, we'll update the other models at the same time. However, they're not updating all the models. So when we talked about this in the previous episode, there's like a assassin type character, and there's a techno guy and a medical lady. Now, the medical lady might actually appear in the rules as part of the Void-at-Arms datasheet, because there's only 2 datasheets here. One is the Rogue Trader, one is the Void-at-Arms, which is the fancy Imperial Guard type people. But the others are all just excluded, and they were part of that range of models and sprue that came with the Kill Team expansion, of which was called Rogue Trader. So it's a bit odd that those aren't included in here. And if we do see an update to those rules, where will they be? They're not coming in the Inquisition update because that's been and gone in the previous Octarius book. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one that they're giving us rules, as you say, for no models.
Yeah, it is strange because, as you say, yeah, they had the assassin, they had the the medical person with the weird spindly fingers. The dog. Has the dog still got rules?
The dog is like a token, one use only ability that the Void-at-Arms get.
Okay, fair enough. And then you had the assassin. Interesting as well that they didn't give us any Gelapax infected rules to go alongside with this as well, given that the two were a dual release.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they also get released separately down the line, and another war zone will probably have them in because, they don't, even though they were tied in that box set release, when they do finally produce them as separate box sets, they can be their own. All the sprues were separate, so they'll be separate box sets.
Yeah,
so
they don't proper mad that the Gelapax infected are just kind of, and to be fair, these categoricals are such a now very limited release as they were. Like, it's for plastic sculpts as well. Like, we've seen them discontinue some plastic ranges like pretty minimally, but yeah, for miniatures as detailed and awesome as these to just go out of print is quite remarkable.
Well, it was like wasn't it the Suppressor Squad for Space Marines, or the Venom Crawler? Like they were available in their original big box set, and that was it for such a long time. And it was only when several years later that the Combat Patrol boxes came out with them in, and that's still the only place to buy them. Can you get them separately now? I don't think you can.
No. So a lot of the Chaos Space Marine stuff is still linked to that Combat Patrol box. So the Greater Possessed, Obliterators, and the Venom Crawler, as well as also that specific Sorcerer, are all locked to that Combat Patrol, and the Suppressors are locked to the Phobos Combat Patrol. So yeah, intriguing. In terms of how that works,
but the Gelapax infected and the Rogue Traders they're such a fantastic exploration of the background. And when they came out, I was like, oh, brilliant! We're going to see more of these guys. Like the Voidsmen-at-Arms would be brilliant to have like a full army of, but maybe and same with Gelapax infected. But maybe they say, okay, Gelapax infected are just like an extra army that really bolts onto a demon army or a chaos army,
right?
And these guys really just bolt on to a guard army or an Astra Militarum army. Adeptus Mechanicus army, because the whole kind of concept of them is that they are using their ability, much like the Inquisitors, to command regular armies of the Imperium to sort of join them and help them out when they're doing stuff, or they will travel along with them to a new area to explore a new subsector of the galaxy and stuff. Yeah. So I could see the logic of maybe they go, here is all you need, but that's it. You're not getting anything else. Because effectively the Voidsmen-at-Arms, I guess, are just like her personal bodyguard. Like they're the officers of the fleet, the men on her ship. And it would be hard to expand it into an army with vehicles and stuff like that. Although I would love it if they did. I think it's really cool minis and concepts.
Yeah. What was interesting as well, though, with these rules, not that we've managed to get into them yet, but we will do soon. I suppose in a lot of ways, this is where other ranges potentially shine, or 3D printing options that are out there for, exploring other kind of proxies or other kind of miniatures. Maybe this is the kind of area where there is some good alternate sculpts out there if you're interested in exploring or expanding on this idea, noting obviously that if you do so, you're not going to be able to use it at your local Games Workshop store or any Warhammer World events. But depends on how much you enjoy the flavor of this and how much you want to try and bring that to life on the tabletop. Because I assume there's some good options out there for that.
I can't say I've actually seen many, and I'm sure someone's done them, but I can imagine they're just not super popular, so maybe they haven't been fully explored.
Yeah.
They also like if you really want to make them, it's like just take some scions, paint their armor gold. Like it'd be quite easy to just convert normal infantry models.
I don't know. I think you're
with
doing
a bit of
disservice to those miniatures. They are quite unique.
Oh, completely. But I mean, something that's a little bit similar. Maybe like you could do like a shoulder pad swap and a head swap, and you're not too far off. Yeah, there's lots of more like embroidery on their cloth parts of their uniform and stuff. But then again, as you say, these are you could use the actual Voidsmen-at-Arms models if you had them to represent like the elite guard, and then everything else is just almost like the old PDF style. They're part of their army, but not as elite as the Voidsmen-at-Arms, like her personal entourage and retinue.
No, totally. All right, let's get into it then. So abilities.
Well,
warrant of trade.
I would go back one step further. So there's a little bit that talks about how the detachment works. So
please enlighten us.
It says an Astra Cartographica detachment is one that includes at least 2 Astra Cartographica units and does not include any models, not excluding Age of the Imperium and unaligned, without that Astra Cartographica keyword, which is an odd stipulation that I don't think you normally get in most detachments, right? So it's saying that it's got to include at least 2 units, which I guess is just saying you can't take a auxiliary detachment with them, right? Because that's the only one that has 1 unit options.
Yeah, but then at the same time, there's a loud man riding a motorcycle outside my house. Not that the man is loud, that his motorcycle is. Although maybe you didn't pick that up.
Oh, I heard it. It sounded like a man with a trumpet driving past your window.
Wouldn't that be fantastic if it was a man with a trumpet? Exactly. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, but you can, as we're about to discover, agents of Imperium, these guys, right? So,
well, I think actually the agents of the Imperium rule here is actually talking about bringing in agents of the Imperium, which, as we know, is an Inquisitor or assassins. It isn't actually saying these guys are agents of Imperium, which is what I first thought it would be. Because it says if your army is battle-forged, you can include 1 agents of the Imperium unit in each Imperium, excluding fallen patrol, battalion, brigade, without losing any, taking up any slots. Yada yada. It's the normal rule. So it's basically saying you can take them, which is what it talks about on that line of. You've got to include at least 2 Astra Cartographica units, and does not include any models without the Astra Cartographica keyword, excluding basically agents of the Imperium or unaligned. So you could take some, roaming buildings with you if you so choose.
Noting, though, obviously, when we say about the units, that does include a character and a squad, right? Because they're both units.
Yes.
So it's not that you've got to take 2 of the squads or whatever.
No. So I guess the concept is your Voidsmen-at-Arms wouldn't really be out there on their own. They would always be accompanying a rogue trader, and that's how you're really meant to take them. Likewise, you can't just take a rogue trader model on her own. I mean, technically, you could probably take 2 rogue traders, but then you need also some of your elites. Which is your Voidsmen-at-Arms. So it's almost impossible to build a detachment without taking both units, really, as a minimum. Because any kind of proper detachment, unless you're doing Unbound for some reason, would require an HQ and another slot, which in this case is an elite. So would it be a Vanguard detachment?
Well, even that, though, you need to take 3 elite choices. Let's get into the units in a second. Let's just do... because then we'll understand what's in there, because we're talking about units without actually having explained to the people what these are.
Let's do the warrant of trade, though. I'll let you read that one out.
So this unit can ignore keyword requirements when embarking on an Imperium transport model. All other transport model restrictions still apply. So effectively, you can use any Imperium transport. So should you want to have a load of these inside a Space Marine Mastodon, go nuts. you are allowed to do so.
Yeah, basically.
Though interestingly, they won't let Primaris in.
Yeah, because your warrant of trade is more important than
That's true.
the Primaris Marine.
They've commandeered the old Mastodon, and then there was the whole Agents of the Imperium stipulations and how that works. For some reason, they felt like they needed to specifically call out Agents of the Imperium, even though they themselves don't get it. Are we absolutely sure of this? Because normally they don't mention that rule if they don't have it.
No, they do. Every one of the new books has this Agent of the Imperium rule in, because it basically says you can take.
Now, both these squads have got the keyword Agent of Imperium, Phil.
Right. Okay. Well, so you can. As a rogue trader.
Why does anyone listen to us, Phil? We are terrible, aren't we?
Right. So what it's saying is you can include you can take a rogue trader detachment.
Yes.
And if you could somehow wait, hold on.
Right. Read it, Phil. Read the words.
It's basically saying you could, in theory, have a rogue trader detachment and add in an Inquisitor or a assassin into it. However, I don't think that's actually possible, because to do that, you need to be able to take a battalion or a brigade, or a patrol. So you could wait. No, what does a patrol require you to take?
1 troop, 1 HQ.
So you can't even do that. So you can't physically build a legal Astra Cartographica detachment that would allow you to include other Agents of the Imperium in. A bit like the same way with an Inquisition. Inquisition also needs an HQ and an elite. So you can't physically add in a free assassin or free Inquisitor into those units.
I do feel like they're more putting the rule for Agent of the Imperium there to indicate that these are Agents of the Imperium. And I think what you're going to do, if you're going to try and make this work, is you're going to go, here is my army. It's 2 patrols. One of them's got the rogue trader, and the other one's then got the Voidsmen-at-Arms. And both of those are separate Agents of the Imperium for each detachment. Thus, that's how you basically get these guys into a legal army.
Because what I always hate about this kind of build, though, is it like thematically doesn't really work. It's like you want to take an Inquisitor, and it's the exact same for the Inquisition. You want to take the Inquisitor with some acolytes. You can't build the Inquisitor and acolytes into your army for free. You can only take the Inquisitor. If you want to take the acolytes, you've got to take a separate detachment. The same with this. However, with this one at least, and maybe I missed this in the previous book. Maybe all the Inquisition units are Agents of the Imperium, and it's not just the Inquisitor anymore, which I think is how it was. That, or maybe we've just completely missed over this one, and that they're all Agents of the Imperium. So you could go, I'm going to take some acolytes in my brigade detachment, and as you say, I've also got a patrol, and I'm going to include the Inquisitor there.
So Eisenhorn is an Agent of the Imperium, and he's the last of the acolytes. No. Jakaro, no. Demon Host, no.
Right. So what we thought was correct. So only Inquisitors get Agents of the Imperium that you can bring in as a bonus to your detachment. However, these guys both have it, which does actually, as you say, change things up a bit. But thematically, it seems a bit odd that your rogue trader isn't in the same detachment as your Voidsmen-at-Arms if you're bringing them both in via separate detachments.
Or it's weird that they didn't write the rules specifically to say that you can, if you take a rogue trader, even as a Agent of the Imperium, then you can add Voidsmen-at-Arms as a 0. You just add it in. They come with it. It's so weird that they've done it the way they've done it. But fine, whatever. Unless, of course,
I guess the idea is you're meant to build them around a patrol. So you can take a rogue trader for free if you really want to benefit your army. Or what you're meant to do is take your Astra Militarum army as your brigade or your detachment, Then, as a second detachment, you take your patrol of Astra Cartographica, and then you get your HQ and your Voidsmen-at-Arms. I think that's how they're meant to be done.
Phil, what are Voidsmen-at-Arms? They're elites, right? So you can't even do it in a patrol.
Oh god, yeah. Sorry, you've got to.
There we go.
Oh wait,
we're going around the houses.
yeah, it's not. Sorry, you take them as a separate detachment that isn't a patrol because you don't need it for the Agents of the Imperium keyword. Is it the Vanguard? No, I can't remember what it is.
Well, you could take Vanguard, and then you could do 1 HQ and 3 Voidsmen-at-Arms.
Yes, yeah, you would have to take them like that. You can't just take
because everyone's got 3 of them kicking around, 3 units of them.
Yeah, you almost. Oh no, but then it does. Wait, no. This is the thing. So the rule at the beginning, maybe this is the stipulation, right? We're going around in houses. I'm sorry, people. So the first rule at the beginning, an Astra Cartographica detachment is one that includes at least 2 Astra Cartographica units and does not include any models, not including Agents of Imperium unaligned without the Astra Cartographica keyword. Is that saying it overrides the normal detachment rules that you need 1 HQ and 2 elites?
No.
It feels like that. It feels like you need that though, to basically say you can just take a detachment that doesn't have any stipulation on HQs. Is it?
I acknowledge that's what you could assume, but it doesn't say
because
that.
It's like how the assassins have a special rule that says you can just take 4 assassins without needing any HQs. You can just take 4 elite slots, right? There's I can't remember what it's called now.
That detachment doesn't exist anymore.
Did they get rid of that rule?
Yeah. The Officio Assassinorum detachment is just gone.
Oh.
At least I think so. I'm pretty sure it has. I think the way they got around it was with Agents of the Imperium.
I think it's still in there. I think because you can just take a detachment of assassins. I'm convinced you can still do that.
Well, yeah, Vanguard detachment, but
you don't need.
Oh yeah,
HQ.
I think that is it. I think maybe yeah.
So the rule is, I think you take them.
You're gonna make me have to go get the book now, aren't you, Phil? This is what you're gonna make me do.
It's just a stretch. It's just over there. It's just lean slightly.
It's not a stretch. This hasn't got the Inquisition rules in it, does it? Not the Inquisition, sorry, the Assassin rules in it.
No, it's Psychic Awakening, yeah. Or
the app is only a click away.
Well, that is true.
That's true. Hang on.
2 hours later.
All right, we did some investigating. Phil, what you found?
Right, so Psychic Awakening, War of the Spider, it's still valid for 9th edition. We have
Sure, why not?
We have Execution Force. If your warlord has the Imperium keyword, excluding Fallen, because they're not really Imperium, you can include this unit in your army as part of a Vanguard detachment, even if that detachment contains no HQ units. If you do so, that detachment's command benefits are changed to none, and its restrictions are changed to this detachment cannot include the same data sheet more than once. So it allows you to take 1 of each of the assassins without needing an HQ. Basically, these guys need this rule. And spoilers, we haven't read the data sheets fully, so it might be in there.
I love this, Phil. I love the idea that you have now basically come out and said that we just don't know. This is fantastic. I'm pretty sure they don't.
I did have a quick read of them earlier, and I don't remember it, so I don't think it's in there. All
right, fantastic. Shall we get on to the data sheet, right? So we've got the first one, the category rogue trader. Do you want me to read this one, or do you want to take this one?
I mean, I don't mind. This is a long one. Do you want me to do it?
I mean, it's up to you, mate. You want to do it? You do it. Come on.
I'll do it. Okay, so you get 1 Cartographica rogue trader. It has a movement of 6 inches, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength, toughness 3, 4 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 9, super leadership, and a saving throw of 4+. Right, so this is where it gets confusing because, as we talked earlier, there are 3 different rogue trader models. So rather than giving us, like Space Marines, 3 separate data sheets, we instead have the Cartographica rogue trader is equipped with in one of 3 ways. So you can have option number 1, the digital laser, household pistol, monomolecular cane rapier, concealed archaeotech weapon, concussion grenades, disruption field generator, multispectral auspicator. Can you guess which rogue trader we're talking about, Dan?
The one from the Rogue Trader Kill Team set.
I believe you're correct.
I think so.
It's the one in the picture. I'm pretty sure that's the one with the monomolecular cane rapier. Option number 2 in this kind of sci-fi blind date. You can have 2 negotiator pistols, a bladed limb, a quartz blade, archaeotech grenades, refractor field, and servo skull targeters. Do you know which one this is from?
That's going to be Combat Patrol one.
Combat Arena.
Combat Arena one.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the one with the service skull that's reloading.
Yes.
the thing. Yep.
That's right. And then the last one, option number 3, heirloom pistol, court blade, monomolecular rapier, archaeotech grenades, concealed archaeotech weapon, disruption field generator, multispectral auspicator. I mean, they're almost exactly the same. I think that one gets digital lasers. One has a monomolecular cane rapier. One gets a monomolecular rapier.
Correct. Yeah.
One gets.
That's General Melchett, isn't it?
Yes, that's.
Do you remember the mini?
No.
He looks like General Melchett from Blackadder.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is the Blackstone Fortress.
The Blackstone Fortress General Melchett one, the one with the like weird snarly warp beast over his shoulders, and he's smoking a pipe or a cigarette on a stick.
Indeed, yeah. So this one's got the most weapons, I think, because
he certainly looks like he would carry a few weapons on him.
So let's now go through all the weapons. We've got a digital laser, which is a 12-inch range pistol 1, and each time an attack is made with this weapon, if it scores a hit, the target suffers 1 mortal wound and the attack sequence ends. So it's a sort of lovely one-hit wonder.
So Rogue Traders 1 and 3 have that one, right?
No, just the first one. So
first one, digital laser. So this is Rogue Trader 1, digital laser.
Yeah. Then we've got the heirloom pistol, which is only carried by the Blackstone Fortress one, which is pistol 2, 12-inch range, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. Then we have the household pistol, which is owned by the Rogue Trader number 1 from the game Rogue Trader. 12 inches range, pistol 1, strength 5, -3 AP and 2 damage. So
how come an heirloom is nowhere near as good as a household pistol? This is strange, isn't it?
Well, the heirloom.
You assume that a household pistol would be the sort of household, like, I don't know. You hear about in America, they some people have like weapons in a drawer, but it's usually like in movies, it's like a piddly little revolver or something. That's how I imagine a household pistol would be.
I had a sneaky feeling that the heirloom pistol was actually a elder. What was it? I'm sure one of them had an elder.
No,
weapon.
you're getting confused.
Am I
with
thinking
the
Inquisitor? Yeah,
you are. Yeah, you're getting yourself confused.
Okay. I mean, I think I'd rather the household one. I mean, it's only one shot, but much better.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the negotiator pistol, of which the combat arena one has 2 of. So this is. Yeah, you can still fire 2 pistols, can't you?
Yeah. Pistol 3.
Strength 12. Sorry, not strength 12. Range. God, imagine it was strength 12. Range 12 inches. Pistol 3. So pistol 6, really. Strength 5, -2, 1 damage.
That's pretty good.
I think I'd rather that one, actually.
Yeah, well, the 2 of them for sure. Combat. What is the bet, right? We haven't even got through it now, but what is the bet that Combat Arena Rogue Trader is going to be the best one?
Well,
like, the one that no one can get is going to be the one.
Well, no, you can get her if you are, as I said, in America or
Germany.
Or like me, you found someone who you know in Germany and gave them money and they posted it to you at great expense. Of which I've still not built it or used it, but that is why I bought the box, because I really wanted.
Maybe you should get
model.
this German friend of yours to get you another.
If you really want one, I'll see what I can do.
I don't really want one.
Okay. I mean, who knows? Like, probably in a week's time, they'd probably come out in the UK, and I would have spent all that money for no reason.
Well, standard Warhammer 40,000 hobbying.
Well, exactly. When the needs must to get a model that you can't get hold of, that it's like the lust takes over and you just have
It's
to
true.
get hold of it. And then once you have it, you just put it on the shelf and forget about it.
Yeah, it was more about the chase, the retail therapy.
Exactly, 100% correct.
Exactly.
All right, next up we
God
have
bless it.
the Bladed Limb, also on the Combat Arena. Rogue Trader, so it's a melee weapon, strength +3, so that's strength 6 -2, 1 damage. I mean, you're only getting 3 attacks, but that's still not bad. You've got the Court Blade, which comes from again her, so she can have Bladed Limb and Court Blade. Strength user -1 damage. Each time the bearer fights, it makes D3 additional attacks with this weapon.
I mean, it's all right.
Is that just an extra D3 attacks, or is that for each attack it's D3 attacks? How stomps work.
It's just D3. It's 1 D3. It's not 3 D3.
Yeah, what's the wording?
The way it's worded
is attack
it
for each attack. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then we've got the Monomolecular Cane Rapier, which again is the #1 option Rogue Trader box from Kill Team. Melee weapon, +1 strength, -2 AP, 1 damage. Each time the bearer takes it, makes 3 additional attacks with this weapon. So flat 3, not bad. Monomolecular Rapier from the Blackstone Fortress. Rogue Trader, we'll get that in the end, I promise. +1 strength, -4 AP, 2 damage.
Pretty strong.
So I would say that's probably the best one out of a lot, but no additional attacks.
I don't know. I think of the 3, I would probably be for the 3. I'd probably think the Cane Rapier.
Yeah, because
is the one.
Yeah, because you still get the +1 strength. -2 is pretty, as you say. -4 in close combat is normally overkill because a lot of things have invuln saves. But I mean, that would go through Primaris Marines with its 2 damage. But the flat 3 extra damage on that Cane Rapier is pretty good.
The flat 3 extra attacks.
Yeah, sorry, flat 3 extra attacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've gone through the weapons. We now have other war gear. So, right, we'll get there in the end. Archaeotech grenades, which I think
there'll be a stratagem relating to being an Archaeotech grenade, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if they're actually. Oh no, so the Blackstone Fortress and Combat Arena both have Archaeotech grenades. Yeah, so basically the classic Rogue Trader one doesn't have them. The bearer gains the Archaeotech grenades keyword. So you're right, it's going to be stratagem related. Concealed Archaeotech weapons, which the Rogue Trader #1 has, Rogue Trader #2 doesn't, and Rogue Trader 3 from Blackstone Fortress does have. So this is once per battle at the start of a fight phase, you can select one enemy unit within engagement range of the bearer. If you do so, roll a d6 on a 2 to 3. The enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 4 to 5, the enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. And on a 6, the unit suffers 3 mortal wounds.
Not bad.
I mean, a nice little, handy little, cheeky little mortal wound.
Yeah.
Might kill off a character if you're super lucky. And it's at the start of a fight phase, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and it's mortal wounds as well. So if you could do 3 mortal wounds, it's potentially 3 dead orcs. It's no bad thing.
Yeah. So then we've got concussion grenades, which adds the concussion grenades keyword. This is for the one that didn't have the Archaeotech grenades. This is for the one from Kill Team Rogue Trader. We've then got the disruption field generator, which I believe they've. Oh, so
yeah, they've all.
No, so weirdly, the Rogue Trader #1 and 3 have, which gives the bearer a 4+ invulnerable save. Rogue Trader #2 from Combat Arena has a refractor field, which if we skip over one, is a 5+ invuln save. So not as good save, even though we thought she was going to be the best one.
Potentially.
We've also got
noting that it's probably still quite difficult to get hold of the Kill Team Rogue Trader as well.
Impossible to get hold of any of them, pretty much. So we've also got the multispectral Auspicator, which Rogue Trader #1 has and Rogue Trader #3 has. So again, a
lot of similarities between those two.
Those two, yeah. Well, they're visually very similar, I think, as well. So this gives you. Each time the bearer makes an attack, re-roll a hit roll of 1. Oh, that's pretty good. So the one that you feel like is more close combat-y isn't, oddly. Oh, but she gets servo skull targeters instead, and she's the only one to get this. So I guess this is the benefit. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy visible unit to the bearer. Until the end of that phase, the bearer gains the following ability. Enemy sighted is an aura ability. While a friendly Astra Cartographica unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack against that enemy unit, the target does not receive the benefits of cover against that attack. I guess that also applies to her as well, because she's got the keyword. So that's
it's
pretty
not
good.
bad.
Yeah, so they get reroll 1s to hit, and she gets ignore cover on 1 unit.
Yeah.
Not too bad. So for abilities, so that's all the war gear we've got there in the end. For the abilities, Warrant of Trade, Agents of the Imperium we've talked about. They've got Captain on Deck, which is an aura ability. While a friendly Voidsmen-at-Arms unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit use this model's leadership characteristic instead of their own, which is leadership 9 instead of 6 and 7. So that is quite a big difference.
Pretty good.
And then lastly, they've got Master and Commander. If your army is battle forged, you can include a maximum of 1 Cartographica Rogue Trader model in each detachment in your army. This model cannot be taken in a compulsory battlefield role unless taken as an Astra Cartographica detachment, which is odd because in a battle forged army, that is the only way you can do it. I mean, well, actually, you can technically mix detachment types, can't you? But you don't get the benefit of anything, so that's why no one ever does it.
I mean, it adds further, credence to your belief that they were supposed to get special detachment. But yeah, fine, whatever. You can only have 1 per detachment. Fine.
That's
whatever.
the same for Inquisitors, so it sort of makes sense. It's interesting that it stipulates that you can't be you can't be taken in a compulsory battlefield role, so you can't use it as a cheap HQ for like a guard army, but you would lose all your guard regiment benefits. So weird, but maybe that someone wants to do a weird mishmash of A-team style heroes and stick him in with a Custodes and something else.
Interesting. I think they could have done a better job of laying it out to associate certain gear with certain rogue traders. As you said, Phil, would it have hurt them to have done? I mean, I appreciate it's more pages in the book, but it could have been sensible to have just done 3 data sheets, because these rules are all over the place in this layout.
Yeah,
and they're all quite different, but yet the same. I
guess the reason why they've done it is 2 of them share a very similar rule, so they've probably gone, let's just bunch them all together. But it is really confusing, and quite often we say, why has Space Marine HQ's why is there 5 captain data sheets? And they've got slightly different loadouts. Why not put them all in one? And actually, if they were to do that, and if it's anything like this, it's pretty complicated, because each one has a very particular load. Now, this is made more complicated by the fact that this, on average, has, I'm just counting them up, has about 8 items of weapons and war gear.
Yeah, I know. They're loaded up to the 9s or the 8s.
A Space Marine captain probably has like 2 weapons. Do they have grenades? Maybe a grenade as well.
Got frag and crack grenades.
Okay, so let's say 4 weapons plus maybe a piece of war gear at best, like a shield or an invulnerable save, like an Iron Halo or something. No, that's it. Whereas this is just like crazy that they've got like 8-9 different weapons for each one, and some of them are wildly different. Some of them are similar, obviously.
What's intriguing as well is I don't think, because there's 60 points, right? And regardless of which version of this you take, there's 60 points. And I don't necessarily think that the mid-combat arena one is hanging in the same kind of 60-point area as options 1 or 2. I think options 1 or 3. I think the general mount ship model is pretty cool, But I think the original Rogue Trader, or not the original Rogue Trader, because technically Melcher is, because he's the one that came out in Blackstone Fortress, which was the first one you got. Then you got this one in Kill Team as the second one, and then you got the combat one as the last of them in terms of the order of releases that GW did in 8th edition. But the point is that I think for me, if I was looking to take any one of these three, I'd be taking the one that actually natively goes with the Voidsmen-at-Arms kit, the Rogue Trader from Rogue Trader Kill Team 8th edition.
I'm trying to think what if I thought the Rogue Trader one came out first from Kill Team.
No, Blackstone, I believe, was first. Then they did Rogue Trader. Then they did Combat. Again, I could be wrong. Could be wrong.
But I think you're right in terms of the rules. She's probably got the better. I don't think there's one that's like better in everything. In like one.
Oh yeah.
Like one's really good in combat, or two slightly good in combat. One's better at shooting, but they both got different perks for different reasons. It's a bit annoying that they gave one a refractor field rather than a disruptor field generator. Why not just give them both like a 4-up invuln save? It's like when Eisenhorn didn't get his invuln save. That's really annoying. Like just give it to him.
Yeah. I think as a miniature though, I mean, I'm torn. I like both these Rogue Traders, but the one I don't like is the one from Combat Patrol. I think that one is one of the more derpy models that they've released.
I would actually say the one from the original Kill Team Rogue Trader is the slightly sillier looking one. I think
really
the one from Rogue Trader I think is phenomenal. Like that one's that's a killer sculpt, I think.
Well, hang on. You've just contradicted.
Sorry,
yourself there, Phil.
The one from Combat Arena is
there we go.
Killer sculpt.
I don't know. I'm not. I just don't like. I just think it's a little bit basic. I just don't think there's much going on. It's just very much like just weird sci-fi jank where it doesn't really work for me.
Well, that's fair enough.
It's cables going all over the place. Weird plumage.
She's a really good like 3D like all-round sculpt, whereas
fair enough. I haven't seen it. I've never seen one.
The one from Rogue Trader is very flat, like it's very two-dimensional. It's a lovely model, but it's just like almost like an old style metal sculpt where it's all
I remember is that there were 5 minis in that box set, and that Rogue Trader for me was by far the weakest. If I remember correctly, probably the shining model in that kit was the Primaris Psyker. I thought that was
she was good.
Glorious.
Yeah, because the Crusader was okay, the Servitor was
Crusader I liked as well. Servitor was all right.
Servitor was all right. I think for mine the favourite was Rogue Trader, which is why I obviously got her imported from Germany to get hold of it.
There you go. But Melchard's quite nice as well. Can't go too far.
But very classic Inquisitor. Sorry, Inquisitor Rogue Trader.
Rogue Trader. Cartographica Rogue Trader. Anyway, then we go on to Voidsmen-at-Arms. This is an elite choice where you can take between 4 and 9 Voidsmen and 1 Void Master. Again, how you're finding yourself in a situation where you've got 9 of these Voidsmen is quite alarming to me, because that suggests that you will have bought 3 of those Rogue Trader boxes, which I don't think you will have done. Unless, of course, you're going to be using other models as proxies, such as Scions, as Phil has correctly said. Even though there are quite distinct differences between them. But anyway, movement 6, weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 3+, so they're veterans effectively. Strength and toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 6, and a 4+ save. However, the Void Master is all of that, but he's got 2 attacks and a leadership of 7. This unit contains 6 or more models. It has a power rating of 4. Every Voidsman is equipped with a lasgun and las pistol. The Void Master is equipped with an Artificer shotgun and las pistol. The Artificer shotgun is a range 18, assault 2, strength 4, -1 AP shotgun. The lasgun is a lasgun. If you don't know what a lasgun is, it's rapid fire 1, range 24, strength 3, AP 0, 1 damage. Las pistols are las pistols. And there is an additional weapon that isn't referenced, but is obviously something that you're going to be able to add to the unit, which is the Voidsman's Rotor Cannon, which is range 24, heavy 4, strength 6, AP -1. 1 damage. So a less good assault cannon, but it's fair enough. It's being wielded by a human as opposed to an Astartes or any other thing that wields assault cannons, dreadnoughts, and so on and so forth. And then lastly, in other war gear, they have a word that is difficult to read on the photo that Phil took for me.
Canid.
Canid, thank you. I couldn't tell if that was an R or an N.
Cute little doggo.
Cute little doggo. Once per battle, when this unit is selected to fight, you can select one enemy unit, excluding vehicle units, within engagement range of this unit. Roll 1d6, subtracting 2 if the unit has the monster keyword. On a 2 to 5, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 6, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. And then they basically say, we recommend you use the model and then take it away when you do this. So basically, you've got an exploding dog, Phil.
Exactly.
There you go. Filled up that dog's belly with TNT, flung him at the enemy.
I mean, most likely he's just going to do 1 mortal wound, which isn't much. I mean, I'm pretty sure the squig bomb from the Orc Commandos does a lot more damage than 1 mortal wound.
Yeah, I would have just preferred the bitey dog to just be in the unit. You know, you want your little angry dog.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you could have just said, every turn on a 4+, you do 1 mortal wound, and it's just consistently there. But they do love these one-off abilities for these little token models that are just there to represent an ability.
There you go. So essentially for every 5 models, you can take a Voidsman rotor cannon, and then the unit can have 1 doggy. Warrant of Trade, Agents of the Imperium, and then Masters of Close Conflicts. Whilst this unit... Sorry, again. Weird. Low resolution photos, Phil. That's all I'm saying. While this unit is wholly within the area terrain feature, each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll, meaning you're going to be hitting on 3s. Yeah, all right.
It's very thematic because obviously they're Voidsmen, so they're mostly on they're effectively crew on a spaceship, so they're used to fighting in close quarter kind of combat. So yeah, it's a cool little ability. You probably don't really ever want to be in combat with these guys because they're just humans. They're just guardsmen. And they're going to
fold like paper.
Exactly. That doggo isn't going to help you out that much.
Well, it gives you a last little thing before you get absolutely destroyed by whatever it is that charges into you. I mean, unless of course you got some snotlings or a unit of scarabs that you might want to kick around. Although to be fair, even then, I don't know if I'd fancy your chances against the scarabs. To be honest, I think they probably do you. But the Voidsmen-at-Arms, they're coming in at around 40 points for the unit of 5, 50 points if you take the rotor cannon, which is bananas. Like how they ever came to the point where they decided that anything on this unit deserved a 10-point upgrade. I mean, making that a 50-point unit is bananas.
Well, yeah,
because that weapon ain't worth 10 points,
and
it's worth even less when you put it on that model.
Yeah, it's 8 points a model, and then an extra 10 points just for the weapon. I mean, if it was 10 instead of 8, you'd be like, yeah, that's good. But doubling the points is just mad. And the Canid ability is 5 points. Put things in perspective, the combat engineers for Krieg, for example, they're 8 points a model. They've also got shotguns, but they're only 12-inch range, assault 3, strength 4, 1 damage. So, the Artificer one is pretty good because it's less shots because it's assault 2, but it's got a bigger range, 18-inch range, and it's got -1 AP, which is pretty good.
Yeah, but, let's get on to their warlord traits and stratagems and things and try and work out if there are any saving graces to this, because so far I don't mind the rogue trader for 60 points. I think you could find an okay place for that as an agent of the Imperium, but yeah, that unit is rubbish.
Yeah.
But let's do warlord traits, Phil.
So the first one is Master of High Society. So while this warlord is on the battlefield, each time you spend a command point to use a core stratagem or Astra Cartographica stratagem, you can roll a d6, and on a 5+, that command point is refunded. it's not too bad. It's actually on your own abilities. Yes, I guess the good thing about this is it stops you from just adding the rogue trader into another army and then suddenly getting to roll the 5+ on all your other stratagems for like your Space Marines and stuff. So the fact it's limited to, well, core ones is still good because everyone wants to do a reroll, but it's mostly limited to your rogue trader stratagems. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Privateer Aura. While friendly Voidsmen-at-Arms units are within 6 of this warlord, that unit has the objective secure ability, because of course they don't have that because they're elites, making them even worse. And the unit can make ranged attacks without any actions. It is so they can do range attacks without failing actions. It's all right.
I mean, that is pretty good. Like, if it might be worth,
it's good on a unit of Space Marines. It's not good on.
Well,
it's not good on.
No, you're right, and I've said this in a previous one when we were talking about Bacadians or something. It's like Guardsmen are 10 a penny. However, I think you could argue that you would whatever army you've got. Like, if you've got Space Marines, you take these guys as a separate detachment.
How are you getting this warlord trait on them? You're telling me you're not taking Sword of the Imperium because you want to get that off?
Isn't there? Well, there might be. I bet there's a stratagem that allows you for like 1 CP to give you a warlord trait.
Take them for 40 points and just bring them on as an agent of the Imperium that's there to do actions. Actually, there you go. I've sold it. These are a new servitor unit.
You beat me to it, but that was exactly my point, was that you take these guys just to do things like actions for a Space Marine army where you don't really want to sacrifice expensive stuff to do things like actions. So as you say, probably slightly more expensive than servitors, but maybe a bit more interesting because of the weapons.
I think they're about the same. I think they're about the same points as servitors, actually.
Ooh.
Although maybe servitors are like 30 points, but yeah. Either way, though, I mean, yeah, could be an option.
Servitors, 0 points. 0 points for the squad. Oh wait, no, hold on. The weapons costs extra.
The weapons cost.
So, yeah, this is Battle Scribe. Quickly get your Grey Knight servitors for 0 points.
Oh, Grey Knight servitors are weirdly cheaper as well.
Also 0 points for the Astra. The Space Marines, 0 points per model. It says. Fix your app, Games Workshop. Yeah, they're just 0 points for everything, and only the weapons cost stuff according to this.
Brilliant.
Which makes no sense. Yeah.
I mean, it makes all the sense in the world when you say, "Oh yeah, the 40k app." Of course. Tell us about the third one first.
So we've got Duelist. Ooh, this one might be good. So each time the Warlord makes a melee attack, you can reroll the hit roll. That's pretty good. And an unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage.
It's all right.
That is actually pretty good. Just take your little close combat-y rogue trader.
Yep.
Get your extra, flat number of 3 attacks. And then you're spamming mortal wounds on 6s. And you're just re-rolling all your hits to get that 6.
Basically, yeah. 6 to wound, Phil.
Oh, it's 6 to wound, isn't it?
So you can't even re-roll that, mate. But it's all right. All of those are okay. Like, yeah. The first one's all right. Could have been better, but it's all right. The second one is broadly okay if you're going to actually lean into the Voidsmen-at-Arms, which you might do if you're looking for, as Phil and myself have pointed out, the servitor opportunity. And the last one's okay, I suppose, if you're going to make them fighty. Interesting.
Just looking at the names, there's some good stuff to get them around the board. So we get that to that in the stratagems.
Well, indeed. Well, let's start with Violent Acquisition, which is a 1 CP stratagem. And it is a battle tactic stratagem. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase when an Astra Cartographica unit in your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when the Astra, you know what I'm going to say, unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack that targets a unit within range of an objective marker, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. It's all right for 1 CP, I suppose.
Not bad. I mean, on your rotor cannons, maybe that'd be quite fun. I like the idea that it's while targeting stuff on an objective. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's a nice little.
Get off my land.
Yeah. Next one is Master of the Void, 1 CP. It's a requisition stratagem. Use this stratagem before the battle. When you are mustering your army, select one Astra Cartographica character model in your army and determine one warlord trait for that model. The model is only regarded as a warlord for the purposes of the warlord trait. You know the rules as normal. If you're doing Strike Force, you can use it twice, which is your standard 2,000 point game. So that is the way of taking a Space Marine army, plugging in a rogue trader, and giving them one of those warlord traits.
Yeah, which could be actually interesting, right? Because I suppose if you went with the Bogo unit somehow you've obviously got to get yourself a 5th Voidsmen-at-Arms that isn't the rotary cannon guy.
You're just painting up your Cadians blue and gold armor.
Yeah. But if you do like to try and do it properly, I guess you can try and find a random one somehow.
Or if, as we said,
God only knows how much these are on eBay.
I mean, they're crazy expensive. I would have thought. But that's why you give me yours.
Not with those rules.
That's true. But I wouldn't be surprised, as you say, they might just release them as standalone kit at some point. You'd hope so.
Entirely. Well, if they do that, at least there's some sort of potential viability to them, I guess. But yeah, but still, the fact that you can obviously, take that 40-point unit and take the road trader, it's 100 points. It's the same points as an assassin. It's all right, I suppose, for 100 points. You just go, there you go, there's 6 models. They're just, flapping about doing actions and stuff. I mean, yeah, could actually be okay. Yeah, all right. Not bad. It's good, obviously, that you can give them warlord traits. I was pretty confident that was going to be in there, but there it is. Next one, Close Quarters Barrage, 1 CP. It is a strategic ploy stratagem. Use the stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Select one Voidsmen-at-Arms unit from your army, of course, that is within engagement range of any enemy models. Until the end of the phase, rapid fire, assault, and heavy weapons that models in that unit are equipped with gain the pistol type characteristic instead. So there you go. At the start of your shooting phase, assuming you are in a combat situation where you have not been murdered violently, you will be able to shoot with weapons like their pistols. I mean, Lord only knows what it is that you ended up in combat with that you would survive long enough to use the stratagem. And even if you did have a model alive, I'd be surprised if you would spend 1 CP on it shooting its guns as a pistol. You'd probably just fall back.
You're probably in combat with another Voidsmen-at-Arms unit because it's Rogue Trader Wars or an Inquisitor Acolyte unit because it's Inquisition versus Rogue Traders, which, to be frank, would be a fantastic game if they ever brought that out.
Well, possibly. Yeah. So yeah, unless you're in a fight with some snotlings, I'm not overly worried about that strategy.
But you want to be in combat if you're in an area terrain feature because you'll get +1 to hit in combat. You can shoot your weapons in combat for 1 CP, and your dog can do an attack.
Yes, this is all correct.
These guys are built for being in combat, Dan. I just don't
know,
I don't know how you can't see it.
I mean, I can see it. They've just got a fundamental problem.
They just need to survive the combat, basically.
Yeah. Well, when you consider that, you can get 10 guardsmen for the same points as this squad, it's like,
Okay. Next one, we've got Concussion Grenades, 1 CP. It's a war gear stratagem. So this was the one that a couple of the Inquisitors had. I'm just trying to see. So it was the Inquisitor number 1 from Rogue Trader Kill Team and Inquisitor number
3.
Oh no, he had Archaeotech grenades, as did the second one. So actually, this is just from the Kill Team Rogue Trader. Okay. So use this stratagem in your shooting phase when an Astra Cartographica concussion grenade unit from your army is selected to shoot. Select one enemy unit, excluding vehicles and monsters, within 6 inches of that unit. roll a d6 on a 2+. The units, until the start of your next movement phase, each time a model in that enemy unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. Well, now you see how these Voidsmen-at-Arms survive combat, because you are -1 to be hit.
Yes, that is true. That will. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's it's not bad. It certainly isn't
Well,
bad.
I would say it's quite good if you just took her in another army as a cheeky little thing for, like, you want to keep your blade guard alive a bit longer or something. It's like, yeah, use this.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the application is, isn't it? It's this in service to a better combat squad.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually quite good. And with some blade guard, just like, yeah, there we go. Happy days. Like, yeah, that's a nice buff for some blade guard. It's not especially great for the Voidsmen-at-Arms.
I mean, they need it, though. That's the thing.
They do need it. They do need it. But there it is. Then we've got Teleportarium Chamber, 1 CP. Use this stratagem before the battle during the Declare Reserves and Transports step. Again, things that I didn't ever realize were steps necessarily, but obviously they are. If you are playing missions with this step, without this step, use this stratagem during deployment instead. Select up to 1 rogue trader and up to 1 Voidsmen-at-Arms unit from your army. You can set up these units in the teleportarium instead of, and from that point on, you know how this goes. Basically, you come in from reserves outside of 9 away from the enemy. There's a bunch of other stuff in it here. So away from enemy
twice, basically, for strike force.
Gotcha. That's actually all right, though. Now adding to the overall flavor of these guys coming down and being bothersome with the obsec and the actions and all the other stuff. Yeah, all right. Not too terrible, because obviously 1 CP is pretty reasonable for teleporting the whole unit. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Because there's a very similar stratagem for Inquisition, where you can take Inquisition, a unit of Acolytes, a Demon Host, and a Joricho. And I've always said this is a really cool way of getting them around the board. So your Inquisitor can do like psychic powers. You can, as you say, use the Acolytes to do actions and stuff. I think they've got much better synergies between all of their different units. But this is a similar thing that you can do. You use them to just get around the board, especially if you've got an army that is very static normally, like your guardsmen maybe, even though they do have a lot of deep striking options. But if you wanted something else in addition to those things, you could take this instead.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
And then
last one, Phil.
Yeah, so the last one is the Archaeotech grenades. So this is the one that the other 2 rogue traders can have. So Combat Arena and Blackstone Fortress. So for 1 CP, you can use a stratagem in your shooting phase when an Astra Cartographica Archaeotech grenades unit from your army is selected to shoot. Select 1 enemy unit that is not within engagement range of any models from your army and is within 6 inches of that unit. Roll 1d6, subtracting 2 if the enemy unit has the character keyword. On a 2 to 5, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 6, the enemy unit suffers 2d3 mortal wounds, which is pretty good. I mean, that's okay. Doing some extra mortal wounds.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same sort of utility to it, does it? That the
over concussion grenades have, yeah.
Yeah. I think if you were, I think more and more as we've read through this, it seems evident that the one that you want to take is the Rogue Trader Kill Team version. That seems like the one with the most opportunity.
Yeah,
to do
so
something.
She's got the digital lasers, which can do 1 mortal wound. She's got the household pistol, which is the one shots, pistol 1, strength 5, -3, 2 damage. So, that's pretty good. She's got the monomolecular cane rapier, which was +1, -2 AP, 1 damage, and does 3 additional extra attacks. She's got concealed archaeotech weapons, which is once per battle you can potentially do mortal wounds. Then she's got concussion grenades, which is -1 to hit in combat. The disruption field generator, which is the 4+ invuln save, and the multispectral auspicator, which did something, if I can find it.
The which one? Sorry.
The multispectral auspicator. Oh, sorry. You can re-roll hit rolls of 1 in your attack.
Yeah. So yeah, on balance, I feel like she's the one you go for, isn't it?
Yeah, it's odd because duelist is you can re-roll the hit roll, but that's everything with that warlord trait. But whereas inbuilt, she's got re-roll 1s, weapon skill 3. So I mean, yeah, she's got some good abilities to do some mortal wounds. I mean, the others have it with the grenades, I guess. Yeah, I think. Yeah, she's on balance probably the best, the better of the 3, and a bit more of an all-rounder.
I just think that concussion grenade is what makes the difference, because already you can think to yourself, right, chuck that in for 60 points, -1 to hit in combat against a good combat unit is pretty meaningful. Plus, she's not much of a slouch in combat, though she isn't great. But, you know, obviously there's some weird, fun things you can do with, you know, her in your army. So, yeah. And then, yeah, if you want to chuck the Voidsmen-at-Arms in with her, then yeah, why not? But yeah,
because what's good about those grenades is it lasts until your next movement phase. So it's your combat phase and your opponent's combat phase. Although saying that, weirdly, this one. So the Archaeotech grenades, you can't target a unit that is in engagement range of your enemy units. Your friendly units. This one doesn't have that stipulation, so you can actually.
No. It's just an aura.
No, sorry. So it says, when you select her to shoot, select one enemy unit within 6 inches of that unit. It doesn't say you can do it that's got a unit in combat, but I'm guessing because it's not a normal shooting attack. It is literally just
be like
any
a
unit
psychic
within
power.
6 inches. Yeah, so I presume you can do it on a unit that's in combat with your models. So in your combat phase, you're -1 to be hit, and then in their combat phase, the following turn, it's -1 to hit still.
Well, I mean, it's any hit roll as well, though, right? So you're -1 on shooting attacks as well, right?
Oh god, yeah. So you don't even need to use it on a unit in combat, although that's what I was thinking it was for. It's just subtract 1 to hit roll on anything. So that's it's got a lot more utility, although it's only 6-inch range, so that's going to be hard to pull off, I think is.
Yeah, you're probably going to find yourself in situations where you're doing that to things that you're intending to charge, but I don't know, it's interesting. I think these are interesting rules. It's obvious that they're not objectively competitive from the outset, but they've got some interesting utility. It's yet another thing that you can sprinkle into your Imperium army to add a little bit of extra flavor, a little bit of extra intrigue with your opponents. Like, you can always mix it up in interesting ways with Imperium, and this is definitely something that further embodies that principle. So I don't hate it, even though I don't really rate the Voidsmen-at-Arms, but I think it's fun. It's an interesting set of rules. It could definitely add some interesting flavor to a guard army. Really just a guard army. Like, I can't really see rogue traders interacting with much else. Like, maybe Imperial Knights could have a rogue trader squad in there, because, you know, knightly households probably do get involved in certain trading arrangements or things of that nature, but you can't really imagine the sisters have much to talk to these guys about, nor the Marines. Like, the Marines would waste their time with rogue traders. I appreciate they have and do in the various narratives, but I think, if you're looking at something to add a little bit of extra spice to a guard army, it could be a nice little extra bit.
I mean,
to chuck in.
One weirdly interesting fact is all the Voidsmen-at-Arms also have las pistols, so which you don't normally get on a guard unit of any type, to have all pistols, bar, Death Riders or something.
Well, it's because they're special, Phil.
Well, exactly. But what I like about it is you can shoot all your guns again in close combat. You shoot your pistols, which makes them quite good, and you do the stratagem so they can shoot their big gun and their pistol both in combat.
Oh yes.
So you're getting those extra las pistol shots. You can't forget about them.
Oh, look at that.
It's
massive.
Pew, pew, pew. It's gonna.
Have they worded it in such a way as their grenades are also Or do they even have
They
grenades? They don't have any
grenades,
grenades,
no.
do they? No, that's fine. That gets around that. What I would love, Phil, is I'd love you to add a Voidsmen-at-Arms unit to your Krieg army, but I would love you to paint them in the cleanest, most pristine way possible and just give them like muddy boots. Like the idea that they've just turned up and it's like all your Krieg are entrenched in their horrible, mangled, dirty brown color schemes. And these guys are just like, just stepped out of the void ship kind of vibe.
Exactly. They're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Like this really bright rogue trader accompanied by these really pristine characters would be absolutely awesome. There's only one of these on eBay at the moment, and it's in an auction, and they've got 2 days and 19 hours to go at the time of recording, and it's already at £38. So I assume that when it's actually time to go on sale, or when it's time for these to go, I'm guessing they'll get probably 60, 70 quid out of them.
Gee, that's a bit steep. How much do you think if they were to sell them as a box set on their own? So let's say Voidsmen-at-Arms is what, six men, is it, or 5 plus a dog, or 4 plus a dog?
Yeah, the Voidsmen-at-Arms is 5 plus the dog.
So how much do you think Games Workshop would sell that unit for on its own without the Rogue Trader?
Well, the problem is it's all one sprue. Bear in mind as well, this guy's got up to 38 quid already, and his actual assassin mini has got some real weird like issues with how he's glued the head onto it. It looks awful.
Oh, so these are built ones. They're not even new on sprue.
Not new on sprue. No,
God, that is.
No. I'm starting to have second thoughts about me giving you these this unit.
Now those dollar signs are in your eyeballs.
Exactly. I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should just flog them. No, I'm going to give them to you, mate. It was I promised it to you for your birthday, and I need to come good.
Exactly.
I need to come good. But if you could slip me 60 quid,
it'll make you feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, it'll make the whole process a little easier. Anyway, but there you go. Interesting, Phil. Oh my God, yeah, no, he's done some awful gluing. Oh, why is anyone actually entertaining paying 38 quid for this?
I don't know. Maybe it is, as you say, the desperation of people just wanting to get.
Well, it's literally, it's the only Rogue Trader kill team thing I can find. Hang on, let me.
Do you know where you can get them? Because I've seen them for sale. They're probably a lot cheaper. TheTrollTrader.com. If you're UK based, they've got a ton of them, all built. I think the Rogue Trader model is like 16 quid. And then all the others are maybe, I mean, even if they're £5 each, are still going to be cheaper, or not much.
So there are people in Australia trying to sell single sculpts for 20 quid. Jeebus. I don't think that's going to be a realistic price. But someone wants a £5 for the little snotling lad. Like just one snotling from the Galapax Infected.
I think here's the thing with eBay is people list stuff for a certain price, and you think, oh my God, they're worth it. It's like, no, the reason why they're on eBay is because no one buys them at that price. So quite often the really expensive stuff is the stuff that no one actually buys them for. I mean, maybe you'll get lucky.
Well, the whole box set seems to be going, again, people are asking for about 150, 200 quid for it, seemingly. But there you go.
Yeah, 12.
I'm glad I bought
£12 on Troll Trader for Elucia Vane, which is the Kill Team Rogue Trader model.
That's actually all right when you think about it. When you think about other characters.
Janus Drake tenner for him, for Blackstone Fortress 1. There's a bunch of him.
So what you're saying is don't go to eBay.
No, exactly. Go elsewhere.
Stay away from that eBay. Anyway, there you go, guys. That's the end of that. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed us talking about an obscure set of 40k rules that no one probably cares about, and managing to do so for about an hour and 20 minutes. Yay us!
I mean, it's some kind of Guinness World Record, I think.
Possibly. Only because no one else is competing. Other podcasts do like entire, well-structured, well-thought-out entire episodes in an hour. How they do that?
That's not what people come here for, though, is it?
No, that's not. That's not. We're never going to be those people. But I'm just curious how those people even do it. That's why I'm asking. I'm not suggesting that's better or worse. I just wonder how you do it. I've no idea.
An impressive feat. It's the same way how I marvel that Joe can build and paint a 2,000-point army in a month. I'm like that's several years for me to do that. I don't know how he does it.
Well, indeed. All right, we're going to go now. So transitional noise. What's all that noise going on in the background? Oh, it's Richie again. Hello, Rich. How are you, mate?
I'm slightly offended by that introduction, but I'm doing all right. Great to be back. Thanks for letting me back on, despite all the noise.
It's a delight to have you. I enjoy the rumblings of your surroundings while you're present on the pod. But obviously, thank you for joining us, mate. And obviously, Phil's still here as well. Let's not discount Phil's appearance. Hello, Phil.
Hello, I'm still here.
There you go. So we're going to talk about an event that good old Rich went to recently, and we thought it was worthy of talking about because so often people are obviously transfixed. They are overly excited about focusing on one specific style of event, and that is ultra competitive, grand tournament, 2021, get my 100 points per game, win at all costs. Yeah, that's the real way to play 40k. But according to a few people that gathered at Warhammer World last weekend, there are alternatives. And Richie is going to enlighten us with his experiences partaking in a Crusade event, tournament, thing. What was it broadly categorized as?
I'm trying to remember what the tickets were called. The name of the event was Escape from Bankalis, which was a Crusade event. I believe is how they pitched it as.
Makes sense.
And so it was Warhammer 40,000 Crusade event Escape from Pancalis, November 2021 is what's written on the front of my event attendee ring binder that we got.
Oh, lovely!
When we arrived.
They gave you a binder, Rich. I feel like we're potentially getting ahead of ourselves, but that's.
Oh, sorry.
No. It's an interesting point, and I suppose this is the thing, isn't it? Right? Because I think mostly because of the state of the world during the pandemic and us all being locked up in our homes, we obviously spent a lot of time talking about 9th edition through the filter of competitive play. And I think, all three of us here have definitely felt that, right? I mean, Phil, you and I have spoken about this extensively. It's all gotten very competitive, or it felt like it was getting very competitive during the course of 2020 and subsequently 21. Is it surprising to you, Phil, that Games Workshop are continuing to actually endorse and actually do other events already so soon after opening up their event space? I think it's quite exciting personally, but what do you reckon?
Well, they've dropped a ton of events lately that they're going to do. So they're doing a doubles event, which is one we're going to in January. There's a tournament like a GT style one also in January. There's this one that Richie went to, which was the narrative / Crusade event, which sort of makes sense. They would do that because they want to cover all their bases. They're doing Horus Heresy, Blood Bowl, AOS, Underworld. So they're doing pretty much one for every system. So I'm glad that they are still acknowledging that Crusade is a thing and that people like to play it. They've always actually done a competitive event, a non-competitive event, and a narrative event. So normally they've done 3 types of things, and I guess here is where they're also they're combining that kind of casual event, not a tournament type thing, and Crusade as the narrative element, and bringing that as one thing. Because they used to do Throne of Skulls, which was super serious tournament style, and then when that became the GT, Throne of Skulls was then the casual. It's just an event. It's not a tournament type of non-tournament event. So I'm glad they're doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I mean, Rich, in terms of the appetite for this event, obviously we've seen with a lot of the early events that they posted on their various, social media platforms, websites, and what have you, the sellout rate was absurdly quick for a lot of the early events. Was that the same for Crusade? Did it take a lot of work to get in there and pick up these tickets? Was it a sellout?
I believe it was a sellout because you couldn't buy any tickets. I mean, like anyone who's tried to buy a ticket for a Warhammer World event, they're usually sold in about 30 seconds. of them going on sale. Yeah, there's fun hitting F5 on Eventbrite days. But yeah, this was it. I mean, this was also the day the internet died. The tickets went on sale. This one, if folks remember the day,
I say the
internet died, the metaverse died. So everything, basically, Facebook went down, if people recall. And so that's why only I was able to get tickets, because we weren't able to have the quick round table of who's going to buy tickets for this event to try and get more people to it. So I was able to get a ticket to it, as did. I got 2 tickets, and I went with my buddy Spike. Shout out to Spike, who came with me. And
hello, Spike.
There you go. He'll be thrilled. He doesn't listen. I don't think he listens. So I'll let him know. I'll let him know we talked about it. So
Brilliant, wonderful.
So I encourage him to listen. I do encourage.
Who to you, Spike? Well, if you are listening, for shame. I don't want you here.
He's going to log off. He's going to log off now.
Please, that's fantastic. That's exactly how I want it to go. No, not really, Spike.
Anyway.
Don't leave. I was only trying to be cool. Stay. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, so we got the tickets, and like pretty much every other event, they sold out really, really quickly, which will be down to, I think it's partly down to the fact that there are far fewer tickets these days that they sell to the events. So we've all been to Warhammer World events in the past, in the before times, before COVID, and if we recall, it was basically just row after row of a huge rows full of tables, full of
it was
matches going on.
Unpleasant, I would say, Rich. Unpleasant.
I mean, we didn't know any better. We didn't know any better at the time. This was the best thing available. There's literally no gap between your table and the table next to you. So if you moved your models to off your battlefield, you're onto someone else's. So it was very, very cramped. Thanks to the global pandemic, they've had to leave spaces between all the tables. So now all the tables have dedicated space. They've got these really nice looking kind of official Games Workshop Warhammer World game mats with built-in sideboard areas. So there's space you can put stuff that's not on the battlefield.
That's cool.
And it all looks really professional, and there's lots of space around the table, so you feel like you and your opponent have space. So that's really cool. But there's less tables than there was in the past. So which is probably
how many were you? How many were you looking at?
I can tell you because I forgot to write it down at the time, so I've stumped up my subscription to BCP, so I can re-look at it. There was.
Did they use BCP?
Yeah, they for the purposes of collating where you'd have to go next, or things. They used BCP for that. There were 21 tables.
Isn't it a shock that the Warhammer 40,000 app doesn't perfectly facilitate this kind of organized play?
I mean, one day I'm sure it would. It was interesting because they don't advertise BCP in the event packs. So if you rocked up and you for some reason had a brick of a phone, or you didn't have the ability to download the app, what would you do?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, Phil, because I can answer that, because I went to the event. I know what the experience was. So they informed us a day or two before the event that they'd be using BCP for that, and they said you didn't have to have an account or set for it, or free or paid. That if you didn't have an account, they would set one up for you. Okay. So they were literally using BCP as the software to determine the pairings, and then communicate them out to people. And if for those of us who remember in the past, you used to know who was in your next game at Warhammer World because there'd be a big spreadsheet on a projector that was slowly rotating to wait for your position to come through, like you're waiting for a timetable at a train station. But now it's just all built into BCP, so it's kind of, in some ways, it was quite cool being able to see, know what table you're on next, who you're going to be playing. If their list was in BCP, then you could see what your list was going to be. So that was quite nice. However, if you didn't have a BCP account, then it's just your name. So all you could determine was what table you're going to be on.
Makes sense.
Yes, that was cool. They used that, but you didn't have to have a BCP account. It was all taken care of. But I did, so I was able, and Spike didn't, so I was able to tell him what table he was on.
Handy.
And I know what table I was on. And it was on. And as soon as we arrived, we all got a event attendee pack, which is a nice little ring binder full of various rules and artwork and fluff about the event. So we got I don't know. I don't know why I'm holding up to you guys, because you guys can see because we're recording it. But we'll have I think Phil said there'll be some pictures we had to post somewhere.
Yeah, I'll
Awesome.
stick them. If you send them to me, I'll stick them up on our Instagram account so people can go there and have a peruse.
Yeah, so it was very nice in that they basically gave you a rundown on what a Crusade mission pack rules are, how to play a Crusade mission, because most people probably haven't played a Crusade mission before. I know you fellas haven't.
In your experience of the games that you did play, or generally chatting to people, did you get the impression that most people hadn't played Crusade, or were there people there that had before?
I think it's a mix. I think some people had read up on the rules, but they weren't massively familiar with the systems. So it's handy that we got a little pack which had, here's how you do a mission, similar to how you have in a regular game. But it's good to know, like, so you can refer to it. So when do we do the agendas, or when you roll off to choose who goes first, you actually still choose. It's not just the highest roller goes first.
It's quite good that they've actually done that, because, as we've said many a time, like when you get the Crusade mission packs, they don't have the base Crusade rules in them. So the only way that you guys would have had the Crusade rules is if you bought the massive tome of the core rulebook with you. So it's nice that they've given you a one of a kind, I guess, a small, portable version of those Crusade rules.
Worth the price of admission if you actually want to play Crusade for some mad reason.
if you did actually want to play Crusade, you'd get a couple of little sheets and a ring binder. They'll be handy for you to have.
There you go.
They
should make it available to everyone, really.
They also gave us a little pack of cards when we came in, which had all of the different agendas you'd be able to take in a game for the weekend.
So are these the standard Crusade agendas, or are they custom specific for the event?
They were very slightly different. There was some, on the whole, they were similar. There's a couple they removed. I'm not familiar enough with Crusade to tell you which ones they were, but they did add in. The most interesting thing was they added in a very specific one for the event, which was a data hacking one. Which was specific. So all the agendas, for people not familiar with Crusade, are effectively secondary objectives, similar to that. If you're playing a competitive game, think of agendas as your secondary objectives, but they don't in any way contribute to who wins the game. All the agendas do is how you're gaining experience for your units, so they can be slowly leveling up throughout the campaign and beyond. So you had a standard set of agendas and one special one about data hacking, because on certain missions they had data terminals that you could use actions to hack. And if you successfully hacked these during a game, you'd get some tokens which you could use to trade for intel.
So you said at the start you got this like booklet that explains some of the narrative elements to you. Did they take you through it? Did they do any kind of like kind of presentation style thing where they kind of set the scene? Was there flavor text consistently being delivered, or was it very much here is a bunch of words, this is it, cheers? If you care about the background, feel free to read it, otherwise we ain't going to give you anything? Or did they actually inject some flavor, some narrative into what they were doing?
So what I'll preface is they tried lots of new systems, lots of things throughout the weekend.
Yeah, well, that was the one thing that sounded really interesting, was the fact that because again, we've all been to like their competitive events. I mean, we've been to some of their old campaign weekends, and some of their old campaign weekends were pretty rubbish, to be honest with you. Like I remember the one we went to, which was like a Khorne themed weekend, as in Khorne the blood god, not CORN, but the point is that it was a very it was a very oddly put together, very kind of slapdash 7th edition. This is a campaign weekend, but we've really just sort of phoned it in. But what you were saying, they were doing a lot of cool stuff. Sorry, Phil.
I was going to say, I think that campaign weekend that we went to, where basically the only gimmick was you were like Imperium, Chaos, or like Xenos as teams, and then you scored extra points for how many skulls or heads on a model that they were, that contributed to the skulls that you were collecting for the blood god. And that was like from what I gathered, the weakest event they've ever put on, because every other one that I've seen friends or just people online I go to, you get bundles of like freebies. I know one lot of people got like the tarot deck that had been, I think, mostly designed by John Blanche as cards that you could use throughout your games. They'd normally always give you a bunch of like really custom designed stuff. And the one, annoyingly, that we had gone to back in, as you say, 7th edition, didn't get any of that stuff.
No, it was awful.
But it sounds like you got loads of cool freebies, Richie, to use during your games.
We did. We got loads of cool stuff. And so there's the events team they've had on for this event. They went above and beyond in so many little ways that some ways I didn't even appreciate until afterwards, because there's things going on I didn't know about, which was quite cool. But they were all dressed like they were scientists. Was kind of the fact. So they all had
Rick and Morty type look.
Yeah, they all kind of like Rick, in that they had like their white overalls on, and
they were all drunk.
And they had a cabinet which has got all the awards for the event, which are their standard glass perspex things of who won, but then all these like test tubes full of neon coloured liquids that were like, oh, I wonder what they're for. And they opened the event by doing a safety briefing. I think it was like where this fire exits are and that. And then in terms of like flavor text and lore, they had each in the front of your pack. There was like a page. The first page of your event pack was like, here's the lore of the setting on a nice color card. And then they had an audio message. They had special audio messages in between each mission.
Oh, no
to
way.
set up the story, read by I might get the rank.
Nick Baton, wasn't it?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
I read that online.
Well, it was. I think the rank was Inquisitor Bick Nathan. was the person who may or may not sound very similar to a Nick Baton.
Brilliant.
But they've written a script and he kind of read it out over the tannoy, which was in a way really cool, especially if you're newer. But yeah, as someone who's been to these events for a long time, I remember when Nick actually did that at the events. So like he used to be. I remember when he used to like one of the events. There was like a few of them who did it, and he'd be on the bit 10 anyway. But the point is, it's really cool that obviously he has different presence now, which is really great for him. And for people there's like, oh, there's this name from the Warhammer community team, doing the voice of in between the missions to set the tone for what that mission was, which was really cool. And then in the event pack, so in your event pack, it had what your first mission was, and that was it. You had mission 1. So all we knew what our first mission was going to be. We were then randomly set a table, and we went and did mission 1 with our army, with our kind of our crusade sheets of our crusade cards for all our units, where you write down all your stats, all your stuff. So it's a bit like I liken it a bit to Blood Bowl, how the kind of crusade system works when you level up, because you have a match. There's some balance. There's some auto balancing in terms of CP if the other team's got more points than you. But ultimately, like, you're doing little things, and each of your units is slowly leveling up and gets some cool stuff further on through the event.
So, what's the overall theme and like narrative of the actual event? Like, sort of, where are you? What are you meant to be doing? Do you know much at the beginning?
What's very clear from what becomes quite clear is that the Tyranids of somewhere in the sector. And something.
Gene-Stealer Cult or Tyranids?
Whoa! Let's not go crazy. Gene-Stealer Cult? What are you talking about?
Well, surely they're the beginning point. That's where all good hive fleets begin, isn't it? With the GSC.
So you are aware that basically the underlying tone is that Gene-Stealer Cult have infected the planet, and they're slowly taking over, and you're there to investigate what's going on. You don't necessarily know that yet, but you're there to investigate what's going on. And it was really, I kind of, when I was there, I was slowly learning more about what was really going on, because one part of me had come on and was like, this is an event, I'm going to try and play some games and see how many I can win, which was actually the wrong kind of mindset for this event, because it was more about, there was lots of meta games going on, as it were, within the story. So all we know is that we will come to Pancalis, and there is some kind of cult uprising in the works. And the first mission was called The Discovery.
Nice.
Which is very exciting.
Ominous.
And it's kind of, the missions lead into like laboratories where something's been discovered, something's going on there. And so the first mission was different. It was not like, so each mission we'd get a special card, which would have this, your mission briefing, what your special rules are, how the victory points are given out for that event. and also what exactly the deployment would be on it as well. So we say, okay, so we get to our table and we say, okay, here's how we've got to deploy the terrain, if that was a requirement, and then like, how we're going to score for the points. So the first mission I played was the Discovery, and I played that mission against, if I can find where I took my note.
No pressure.
No pressure, no. I played against Robert Trotter, who had Blood Angels.
Robert Trotter?
Yes. So
Is that the son of, the Trotters, independent traders, Derek Trotter?
I forgot to ask. I should have queried that.
You should have done. You should have clarified whether or not he heralded from, Rodney Trotter's loins.
I'm sure he's heard that joke many a time.
Absolutely, but there's no reason why you can't hear it again.
So,
maybe I'm the first. That's how I like to think about these things. No one's ever pointed out the similarities between his name and the fictional characters that make up Only Fools and Horses, I'm sure.
No, but he does know how to bring Blood Angels and lots of them and have them attack my Imperial Fists and smash them in combat when he gets into combat with me. So, but this first mission was about discovering a laboratory. So it was very all of these missions are nothing like a traditional mission that you played in competitive. So in this mission there was 4 buildings on the map, and they each had a number based around an objective, and you could capture those objectives. But each turn it would reduce the amount that were there until on turn 3 there's only one building that's where the lab was. So you're trying to determine where the lab is, and then whoever controls it gets the most victory points and wins the game.
Nice. It's weird. It sounds exactly like a mission that I read about from a old Games Workshop magazine called Inquisitor Conspiracies, which I bought off eBay earlier this year, which is an old Inquisitor game system, which was the old 54mm game. So it's either a complete coincidence or they actually sort of trawled back through some of their older publications for some ideas.
Wouldn't surprise me if they did that, though, right? And again, a lot of those guys in the events team are going to be coming from years and years of gaming experience, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was that kind of exposure, because I've experienced that when I've done more narrative-themed events, where people like trawl through like random tomes. And I think I went to a 5th edition tournament once where we used the free-player game system that was found at the back of the 4th edition rulebook. So, it's interesting where these guys kind of get their inspiration from. But I'm guessing, Rich, they didn't credit their work if it was that it is in fact from Inquisitor of 2001, 2002, whenever it was Inquisitor came out.
Mate, I've got no idea. I wasn't paying attention to that. I'm learning from you guys that there's something similar to this. What I know is that I lost my first mission.
Oh no, Rich.
I did. I lost my first mission.
And Blood Angels, they're just better at searching for things than you are.
They were very aggressive Blood Angels, just rushing onto the board, so rushing up the table, claiming the objectives, and then I wasn't aggressive enough. And I also forgot to bring my Reavers in from reserve.
Oh mate.
I forgot to, and then I told myself, no, I meant to do that. And then then it was like basically then the points were snowballing, and I did my best to try and counter it.
Did he allow you to put them on the board after turn 4 or after?
No,
turn 3?
I know. I put. I was thinking. I remember the time I was thinking of bringing them in turn 2, and then I didn't. And at the time, I was like, "Did I mean to bring them on? I can't remember." And I was like, "I haven't done it. We'll just play on." And then, but what I should have done is if I did bring them on turn 2, it might have been very different. But I also rolled really badly when they did turn up.
He's making all the regular excuses.
I'm making all the regular excuses for...
Forgot to bring him a reserves, rolling badly.
Next you'll be telling me a rhino exploded and killed all your models.
Exactly. I'm making all the regular excuses, but that with this mission, you pay dividends to be very aggressive and move up the table. Yeah. And Robert did that, and then by the time I was trying to realize what was happening, he got so high up the points I couldn't catch him. Well done, Robert, for winning that game.
Nice. So what did you get for winning and losing the game? Did you get extra stuff?
So the victor bonus. So each mission has a victor bonus, because that's how it does in Crusade. Tells you it usually says something like you've got some bonus experience. Well, this one we both had to go to the front desk to collect a reward.
Ooh.
So we went to the front desk and they gave us a reward of the card for mission 2, but also a card for these special vials. I'm just trying to remember what they were called. We were given these vials of unknown ooze. That's what they were. They were the mysterious ooze.
So these are effectively
Sounds
war
ominous.
gear pieces that you can use, right?
Yeah, these were effectively like war gear cards. And you basically, the way the ooze worked was if you'd roll a d6 and you'd have d3, you get d3 of them or d3 plus 3 if you won that, if you were the winner. And the way they could be used was at any point, one of your character, if at any point you could use it, and you'd use it on a character and you'd roll a d6. On a 4, 5, or 6, they would gain that many wounds. On a 1, 2, or 3, they would lose that many wounds.
Fancy.
Risky.
And so it's high risk, high reward that you could use. But basically, you get a batch of those that you could use to represent the things that have been found in the laboratory. And then we went into turn 2, into the second battle round. No, it's not the second battle. Second game, the second round of the event. Yeah. And if I remember correctly, this is also this is where they also gave us. I believe anyway, it might have been after this one, but I think it was they gave us another pack of cards. So this is where there's a lot of systems they added in, and I think they might have added slightly too many. But at this point, they gave us each of us a pack of basically more war gear cards that we could have adding a deck building mechanic. So it was about 20 cards in the deck, I think it was, and then there was various like one-use items. So there was one that was play on a unit gets +1 to hit this phase. Play on a unit in the command phase, it gets +1 to armor for the rest of the turn. Or some of the you can deny the witch. Even if you haven't got deny the witch, reroll a leadership test, increase your aura size, increase the damage of a strength user weapon to damage by 1.
Nice.
And some others I might have forgotten. Or no, got +1 to hit. There's a lot of different cards.
Yeah.
Plus, also there was about 5. I think it was about 5 of these cards, which were like flamer cards, or like burn the heretic, which we were told were protection cards, and they said that these will protect you in the event of something bad happening, and they didn't tell us what that bad happening thing could be. And for the purposes of this story, you're going to follow my journey, and I'm not going to tell you to the end what they were for.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Quick question. So obviously, how you saying there's some deck building mechanic to it. Firstly, how does that work? And then a second question is, more of a statement. This was a 50 power level game, so about 1,000 points. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Or thereabouts. Yeah. But you were still playing your normal kind of 3 games. Saturday, 2 games, Sunday, right? So you're still playing the normal time span for a 2,000 point mission, right? Like your 2.5 hours, isn't it? Yeah. So I guess, did your games always finish early and you've got loads of extra time? Because it feels like you need the extra time to sort of understand
handle the
admin, the missions, the cards, and all of that stuff.
So within the schedule, they'd put 15 minutes on the end of each schedule. They give, similar to how they've structured in the competitive events, they give recommended times for how long you should be in each turn. And for the end, they allocated 15 minutes at the end, so you'd have time to do all your Crusade stuff. My experience was that because you were playing a 2,000 point time limit with 1,000 points, the result was all my games were finished well in advance of that time. Which when there's a lot more there's a lot more free time in between games, which I found very, very good. It meant it was the least stressful event I've ever been to, because it differed for some people I know, because I saw them playing up to the wire, but the vast majority of my games all finished with plenty of time, so lots of time to relax and then get ready for the next game.
Nice.
It's because you're a pro, Rich. You're a flipping pro.
I think it's because if you ask all my opponents, they say it's probably because of that expletive dreadnought I brought or something. And by turn 3, I was just kind of cleaning up on the board.
Oh, really? Was the dreadnoughts doing some work for you? Were they?
The dreadnought did a lot of work.
Which dreadnought was this?
I took a Relic Contemptor Dreadnought with 2 sets of twin heavy bolters.
Okay.
And missile launchers as Imperial Fists. So there's a few times when I'd roll lots of 6s to hit, and then there's like raining heavy bolter shots around.
I guess for those listening at home, give us a very quick rundown of your actual army that you took.
Yeah, sure. I can tell you because I have a little sheet here which I had with all my details. So I had the Legacy of Dawn Expeditionary Force, and they were Imperial Fists. They were led by Captain Daedalus, who, for competitive players, was an Indomitus captain with a relic shield. I had Lieutenant Icarus, who was a Phobos lieutenant with a grav chute. I then had a squad of heavy intercessors with Hellstorm bolters, a squad of intercessors with a power fist on the sergeant, a squad of reavers, 10-man squad of reavers with grav chutes, a relic contemptor dreadnought with 2 twin heavy bolters and missile launchers. I called him Brava Meteon.
Nice.
A squad of eliminators with las fusils, and a stalker tank with hunter killer missile and storm bolter.
Quite an unusual choice. Like somewhat would be considered weak units, I guess.
There were some different things. You guys know I love the reavers, and I really want to make them work and to enjoy them, and they did really well for me.
Nice.
Partly because as this was Crusade and they're an elite choice, I was able to upgrade them to be the bloodied rank, which is like the equivalent of rank 1, to start the tournament. So they were passively re-rolling 1s from the beginning of the game, which was cool.
That's good.
Nice.
The eliminators with las fusils I bought purely because I needed to get some anti-tank into the list. And what I didn't realize is in 1,000 points, most people aren't bringing tanks.
I'm sure there was a guard player rocking at least 2 Lehman Russes, surely.
There was somewhere, I remember seeing it. I mostly use them against one-shotting Terminators and the like.
Nice.
Because of the amount of power. And the Stalker, I've got a soft spot for that tank, and I bought it, and it's cheap in terms of power level and points. It's nice, it's easy to fit in. It's toughness 8, so it's hard to kill. And I thought someone might bring a flyer.
Wait, it's toughness 8 on a Rhino.
Toughness
8. Wow, that's
yeah.
mad.
Yeah, it's hard to kill.
It's got those reinforced struts, you know,
the little legs.
Those little legs. Yeah. That's what gives it its toughness 8. I was as surprised as you were, Phil, and I played against that list of RICHIE'S or lists of RICHIE'S with that in it multiple times, and you're like, toughness? You sure? Yeah, no, it's toughness 8. It's like, oh man.
Nice.
And I played against you. I'm sure I played you when you've had a flyer, and I've just one-shotted it turn 1 with it because the amount of shots.
Oh yeah, you did a. I was. It wasn't a flyer. It was my. It was my grav tank for my Custodes, the Caladius grav tank, and you basically put a bunch of stuff on it, and you just shot it down in one turn. And I was like, yeah, that's not how that's supposed to go.
Yeah, is it because it's +1 ballistic skill against anything with the fly keyword?
Well,
correct. Yeah.
Well, for the benefit of listeners at home who might be saying, "Hang on a minute." That was must have been an 8th edition game we played when I did that, because then it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was 8th edition, because now in 9th it's only against aircraft.
Oh, wow.
So yes, very specifically, so basically it's got 2 Icarus Storm cannons, and the rule for that gun is it gets to shoot. It basically doubles its shots against aircraft.
See, why can't the Guard Hydra have something like that? That would be useful.
Something that was. I did come across what I thought was an aircraft, but it wasn't. In one of my games, I played a guy who had Chaos, and they brought a Helldrake. The Helldrake is an aircraft in the Thousand Suns Codex. It is not an aircraft in the Chaos Space Marine Codex.
How bizarre!
Oh, wow.
Is it just fast attack?
It's just a monster.
Yeah, a monster that can fly. That's got a lot of the similar rules for flying,
but it doesn't have the aircraft keyword in the Chaos Space Marine book.
And also, it doesn't. It wouldn't occupy an aircraft slot, would it? Because I think, weirdly... Yeah, because I think aircraft was one of those things that they introduced conceptually as part of the various rules updates towards the end of 8th, when they introduced some of the balancing mechanics on aircraft. And I think, weirdly, the Helldrake was exempt from that, potentially. Because it was always weird, because before it was never an aircraft in the sense that it was basically like a really fast... flying vehicle, but it wasn't an aircraft because it could charge people and stuff. And I guess they compensated because they couldn't figure out a way of writing the rules at the time, and probably nor did they want to update the data sheet, because the whole gimmick of the thing was it flew up and hit people in combat, as opposed to, being an aircraft. Because obviously, if it was an aircraft, it wouldn't be able to charge anything. So interesting.
Yeah. I like how you've themed your army and you've given all your characters names and stuff. Was that encouraged in the event pack, or was that something you just wanted to do off your own bat?
It was. I can't remember if it was encouraged or not. It's something I definitely wanted to do, and I'm glad I did, because I kind of gave it a theme. And most of the armies I came up against, people had done something similar with their characters.
Yeah, it sort of feels like if you're going to that kind of event, definitely do that.
I would say as well with that though, did you use the name generator from the codex, or did you labor over trying to figure out your own specific names?
So some people might have noticed how I named my things. Some of the listeners might have noticed. I did try, and I was struggling with names at first. So I started using a couple of generators, and they weren't really helping in anything either. And then there was one name that popped up that was not Daedalus, but was sort of like that. And I think Daedalus is just cool as well. So then I'm going to go with Daedalus as my captain, and then with Icarus to be my lieutenant. So that's this kind of mythological theme.
Greek theme going on.
Yeah, and then with
not the late or the early 90s CD-ROM video game, the Daedalus Encounter. Then
not that one.
No one remembers that game. That was a weird old game back in the day. But anyway, we'll carry on.
So back to
shout out to those who remember the Daedalus Encounter.
So going back
to
Phil,
me ages to work out how to open a door. Anyway.
So Phil, you asked about 10 minutes ago about deck building mechanics.
Oh yeah.
And so, yes, the way it worked was you had this big deck of cards they gave us, and you got to pick 2, and you definitely have those for the upcoming game. Then you'd shuffle the deck, and then you draw another 5.
Okay.
So you'd have 7 cards altogether in your hand, and you get to use them at any point to buff your army in whichever way the cards would represent. There's also another stipulation, which was that every time or whenever a warlord from either side killed another character, then you would trade a card.
Ooh.
So that would be you'd play your face card, one card face down, your opponent would do one card face down. That would happen twice if a warlord killed another character from either side, and once at the end of the game. So that was a mechanic that was put in place. I wasn't aware what the real source of that mechanic was until the very end of the tournament. So, but all I knew was that we could do a trade there. So in the first couple of games, I thought I just got rid of cards that I was like, I don't want that one. That's a bit rubbish. I'll get rid of that.
So you did when you do the trades? Do you choose which one you're offering to your opponent, or do you blind pick them?
You choose.
Okay.
So you choose which card you want to give to your opponent. And in the first couple of times I did it, I just used to get rid of cards that I didn't want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I was quite lucky by doing that. For reasons which I'll come on to later on. So we went mission 2.
Yeah.
Which was the entrapment mission. Where the theory behind this was that one of the armies has gone to the laboratory, they've stolen all these vials, and they need to now try and escape from the board with them. And your opponent is trying to stop them. Now the deployment type for this one, we'll have a picture. It looks like this.
Oh, wow.
For you guys.
Blimey.
So
what that is what is that? 2 deployment zones on an angle on the outside, and then one smack down in the middle, running through the middle.
So for listeners at home who haven't got pictures right now, imagine it's the defender is deploying a deployment zone in the middle of the board, a thin deployment zone down the middle, and the attacker can deploy on either of the opposite end, or either side of that.
So it's like
this was a diagonal.
Yeah, so it's like Vanguard, but someone gets both deployment zones that are much smaller, and then someone gets in parallel to that all along the middle from the other corners.
And someone else goes in the middle, and then they have to give the vials to a unit. Troops had to be an infantry unit, I believe. Was it infantry or troops? It was a troops unit. So they give one of their troops units the vials, and they've got to cut, and they keep it. Whoever's holding the vials, you get points every turn you've got them, and you also get bonus points if you have it at the end. and I was playing a lovely chap called Phil Rudd who had some Dark Angels. I say lovely chap. Spoilers. I believe he also run the favorite player of the event.
Oh, wow! So officially the loveliest of lovelies.
Officially the loveliest of lovelies, and he was very lovely, especially as he learnt the hard way that Imperial Fists ignore cover. And he had some very unfortunate failed charges as well with his Dark Angels, which was his stuff was great.
Interestingly, Rich, is he a relative of Paul Rudd?
I don't know, but they are both very handsome.
Oh, so fair enough. I'm sure he never gets asked that either. I'm sure that's the first time anyone's ever made that comparison.
I bet you're going to try and make this work for every single opponent.
I mean, so far, mate, I'm 2 for 2, right? I'm going to keep this dad joke alive.
I mean, let's go with that. So this was also the first mission where they put in these data terminals, which I mentioned earlier as a special agenda that you could use an action to hack these data terminals. And so I took that one. I was like, oh, God, I'll try and hack these data terminals. You get these intel points, which you'll get at the end of each mission. So you get an intel point, 2 intel points if you won a mission, and 1 for every data terminal that you hacked.
Nice.
And when you got them, they give you one of those standard kind of tokens that you have if you're playing like Magic the Gathering or something. Basically, they look like magic beans, so it's like one of the magic beans. And you could then you start getting them for completing these hacking things. In this mission, I gave the vials. I was a defender, so I spread out down the middle. I luckily got first turn and was able to keep my heavy intercessors held that. The vials right till the very end. There was some not very fun last minute attacks from Phil trying to kind of get them off me at the end. The dice were never on his side, but I was kind of willing him to do it because it was kind of cool what he was trying to do. To kind of get them back, or then he had a last minute dash to try and kill my captain to get some glory, which sadly didn't work. But it was a very different kind of game, a very fun one, very bloody, very because the deployment zones were only 9 inches apart. So it's like turn 1 charges all across the board.
Wow.
So a very fun fight. And after that match, we got the reward, which was, what was the reward? Oh, you gained additional vials. They were big on. No, did you gain additional vials? No, you just get to gain some additional requisition and repair things for your units, which is a Crusade thing.
Okay.
But the main thing we got at the end of that, the winner got. I think if you remember, the winner got some. Oh yeah, the winner of that. Oh, so no, not the winner of that. So we started getting the intel points, which got the magic beans previously mentioned. Apologies, people. There's a lot of overlapping mechanics in play.
Yeah, it sounds it, man. It sounds very, very well. Yeah, full on.
Very full on. Lots of things going on. I possibly think there's slightly too many, but they're all really, really cool, and they really added to the theatre of it. So they started offering you to trade in your intel points or your magic beans for info from the intel desk, which was located in Bugman's. So we're going to.
So
information is exchanged.
You accumulated enough to trade in some of your beans.
I did, and I went to them. I gave them 3 magic beans, and then they gave me a new card to put in my binder.
Ooh.
Who was staffing this desk? Was it a member of the Games Workshop royalty?
No, it was a member of the events team who were all wearing.
Oh, that's not good.
Who were all wearing their science coats. They were wearing their science coats, and then I traded my magic beans, and I got a card which was really nice. It's got some cool artwork. It had some cool Gene Stealer cult artwork on it.
Cool.
Some more lore, and it gave me some additional vials. They were big on pushing the vials mechanic that I could use for my characters. And so that was pretty cool. That's pretty nice. I was like, oh, that's some nice stuff. I'll have that. That's a nice thing to have. And that was the end. That was the second game that we played. At some point, I think it was around here, the event team staff changed their outfits, or it might have been on the following morning. I can't remember exactly when it was. But they basically drew their sweatshirts up over their nose, and they put on these like black goggles, like the Gene Stealer cult do in their models. Brilliant. So basically, they all came out just like the Gene Stealer cult.
Genius.
Nice.
And at some point around this time, I noticed that the event staff started talking to individual players, and I didn't know why. And they were like giving them things, and I wasn't sure what they were doing.
Okay.
Some people will already know because they were spoke to, but there was things happening. I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't think too much about it. Focus on playing the games. And then we moved on to Game 3. Game 3 was Analysis.
Who did you play in Game 3, Rich?
In Game 3, good luck with this one, I played James Padbury.
Oh, the cousins of the Cadbury family.
Oh, he's good.
Except they, specialised in pad thai as opposed to chocolate. There you go.
So I played James Padbury at Chaos, and he had a mix of loads of cool units that I don't normally see. He had a Venom Crawler, he had a Predator Annihilator, Helldrake. I think there was a Rhino in there as well. Bunch of other like Chaos Space Marines, Renegades, and I want to say Dark Apostle. It's not Dark Apostle, or is it Dark Apostle? Who's the one who can summon stuff?
Oh, well,
maybe it's just a Dark Apostle.
Well, Dark Apostle can't really summon stuff because the Dark Apostle's their equivalent of a chaplain.
I think it was a Dark Apostle, and I think basically he was doing the mechanic, the one where you don't move and then you can summon demons.
Well, I think you can pretty much do that with anything.
Yeah,
I don't think it has to be a psychic specifically. Yeah,
any character can do that. He happened to have a Dark Apostle doing it, and he asked me if are you okay if we do this? I'm like, he's like, well, 3d6 and I can summon something to that power level. I'm like, can you do that in a Crusade game? He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay. Sure, that seems fine. He's like, and he was like, I was like, so you could like summon a Bloodthirst? He's like, oh no, I haven't got a Bloodthirst with me. He had like some corn blood, he had like some bloodletters, Nurglings.
So these, does he not still have to pay like the reserve points or anything like that? No.
Nope. In a Crusade game, you can, if you Chaos can choose to summon in demons. They don't have it. They are just like for that battle.
They just don't gain any XP or anything. Okay, right, that makes sense.
So, in terms of balancing, you could say is that balance, but I was like, I'm like, it's a Crusade. Let's see what happens. And he used it to. He definitely summoned some Nurglings, which were hard to kill.
Standard.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was interesting. It was an interesting mechanic to see because he did that. And at this point, he was like, "Okay, I'm going to summon these demons. I'm going to try and do some summoning." I'm like, that's okay. I've leveled up my captain now. By this point, so I got my captain to be a fleet master, which means I could do orbital bombardment. So I was like, if you're going to stay there, I'm going to drop an orbital bombardment on you. And he's like, all right, I don't care, bring it on. I'm like, I like this guy. He doesn't care. He knows I'm going to roll really badly for these mortal wounds that are going to drop down anyway, so it'll be fine.
There you go.
So what was the overall mission aim and objective?
So continuing the storyline in this one, one team they're in the process of analysing the vials they've collected. So the mission for this one looked a bit like this. For you guys, that basically you had a defender who had in the middle of basically their deployment zone was half the board, lengthways, and in the middle of their deployment zone was you put a marker, which is where your warlord would have to do the analysis. So they would have to perform an action on that marker to gain victory points, and they gain victory points every time they did it. Whereas your opponent, there was 4 regular objectives, and if you were the defender, you'd be gaining victory points for your warlord performing the action to analyze the vials, and your opponent would get bonus objectives if they slayed the warlord of yours.
Okay. Which one did you get to be?
I was the defender again on this one. So as a defender, I was able to basically I moved on to that point where the objective marker they had for this is where the warlord has to be doing the analysis. Kept that going, surrounded him with heavy intercessors and like to try. And he was going to stay there. My Reavers, when I remembered them this time in this game, they dropped in. Well, they dropped in at the back to kind of hold their own as long as they could. Back there, and then we just kind of fought over the middle. I remember this game specifically because I spent an awful lot of CP in turn 1 for my Stalker to try and kill a Predator, and it did nothing. It did absolutely nothing to it. I I whiffed on all my dice rolls. It was very embarrassing, and I felt really bad. But then that was my Stalker's primary contribution. Then was just to not kill anything in that turn, and then spend most of the rest of the game, the next half of the game, just not being killed by a Helldrake because it's toughness 8, so it's quite hard to kill, quite hard to hurt it.
Are they toughness 8? Oh no, sorry. I was thinking the Helldrakes, the tanks toughness 8. We've gone over this already.
Yeah,
yes.
we covered that already.
Yes.
One thing I did forget to mention is that they added in another layer of rules for this event at this point on this mission, which is where everyone was assigned a secret mission. And your secret mission was determined by the number on your lanyard. So everyone's lanyard had like a copy of the times of the agenda for the weekend, and it also had a number on it. And I didn't think anything of what mine said because mine said 1. Well, I didn't even think about it, but there was 5. You could have had it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Okay.
And they gave me my secret mission. My secret mission was I had to kill enemy characters.
In general, or with your
in general
world? Okay.
Yeah, general. No specifics. And I just had to tally up after every game how many characters I'd killed.
Oh, so was this for all your games you were doing this?
For the rest of the event, I was going to be tallying up that. And then from talking to others, some people had killed troops, some had elites, some had fast attack, and others had heavy support.
Quite simple then, but nice.
It's quite simple, and it was a nice little twist because it kind of made me think, oh, how am I going to play this? How am I going to make this work out? Who do I bribe to get Sisters of Battle as an opponent?
Or Genestealer Cult.
Or there were no Genestealer Cult. I mean, ironically, there was a Tyranids player, I think, but I didn't see any cult. So I was trying to kill characters. So James had 1. He had his Dark Apostle. By the end of the game, I was just trying to do all I could to try and take him out because I wanted to get the points, which included using guerrilla tactics on my eliminators to appear right at the back because he was hiding him by that point in the game to try and las fusel him. Failed. He then charged in and killed them all in combat with his Dark Apostle, which was handy though because it meant his Dark Apostle was no longer behind cover and I was able to shoot him with my Dreadnought. So I did manage to get that character kill in that one. So that was pretty cool. And I also hacked a bunch of terminals, which meant after that I got some more magic beans.
Nice.
And I was able to hand them in and claim another piece of lore cards, which is when we discovered that all these cards are telling a story of what's actually happening on the planet through the text.
That's cool.
So there's various parts. So there's we'll share pictures, but this one was like classified document 90,065 KX report of the Pancalis invasion, and there's some official text there, and then there's the story of what happened, some nice artwork on it, and I gained 2 bonus requisition points for my Crusade force.
That's cool.
Win-win.
And I won that game. It was close fought in the middle. Could have gone either way. I felt it could have gone either way anyway. It's one of those things when I mean, you know, I'm like that. I'm always thinking, this could go really way still. One bad dice roll, this is all gone.
Yeah.
But I was able to win that game. But James was a great player. He was a really nice guy. Everyone I played was really nice. It was a nice event in that way. I was very fortunate.
Yeah, it sounds it, man.
And that was the end of day. And then the match we swapped over, traded some cards. I can't remember what I traded at that point. I think at this point I might have started getting nervous because they started mentioning about reminding people they had these flamer cards for your little deck building mechanic. So I think I might have just traded one of those. I can't remember what I got back. I think I got like a re-roll a leadership test, which is like, yeah, very funny. I'm Space Marines. That was a good game. And
Awesome.
that was the end of day 3. And then
Day 2, but game 3.
Game 3 of day 1.
Yeah, day 1.
Game 3 of day 1.
There we go. It all makes sense.
There we go. We're making this work. And then we moved on to the final day, day 2, where our mission was. I've lost my cards now. Here we go. In day 2, things were hotting up. We had another mission briefing. But so this was different. So normally they'd give us the next mission card immediately after the game. They didn't on this one. So we didn't have the evening to spend theorizing over it. We got the card first thing in the morning on the second day. And that 4th mission was Burn the Hive. Mm-hmm. So it's become increasingly clear that the Gene Stealers had taken over. So we were going in to basically torch where the Gene Stealers were. while fighting our opponents, which is what I was playing against lovely chap Rory, and Rory Free was his name.
Rory Free. That's going to take me a little while longer.
Yeah,
I don't know. Invested in Freeview. I don't know. Whatever. Is that even still a company?
as opposed to Rory Premium. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's his. His evil twin.
So he was Blood Angels, a different type of Blood Angels army. This one, I very nearly lost at the beginning, was I forgot that Death Company could get a pre-game move, and they were all under melter pistols. What's the worst that could happen? They could nearly kill my dreadnought. That's what could happen. They dropped into 1 wound, and I've never been more glad of anything in my life. He was smart though. He didn't. I thought he was going to charge it to try and finish it off. I'm like, I'll get you an Overwatch, mate. He didn't. He just charged through a building against my other stuff. I'm like, oh, this is going to go badly. But the mission in this one was traditional Dawn of War style deployment. There were 6 objectives that we were trying to capture. And
that is pretty standard 40k right there. It
is pretty standard. People are used to this one. But they had a hold. You just got points. Each objective you held would get you 5 points. But you'd also get bonus points because you could do an action to burn the. So each objective marker counted as a secret location where the gene stealers were suspected to be, and you could burn the hive. So you could use an action which would take a turn to your next command phase to complete, and that would burn the objective, which means you get some bonus points, but it could no longer be scored.
Nice.
So, and this game was incredibly close. By the end of it, we were both kind of taking over each other's deployment zones and killed almost everything. So I had my Reavers were in his deployment zone, burning his objectives. His blood angel assault terminators and terminator captain were in my deployment zone, burning my objectives.
Lovely.
Is it a bit like the Raise mission where you can only burn the ones in your opponent's deployment zone?
Yeah, very similar. You couldn't burn the ones in your deployment zone. That was the only stipulation. So the ones in no man's land and then the ones in your opponent's deployment zone, you could burn.
Okay, cool. And
this was a very, very close match. Very, very. It was a nice matchup because Blood Angels are Space Marines, but they're better in combat. Imperial Fists are Space Marines, they're better at shooting. And for the first couple of turns, he was a bit afraid to step out and get shot at until he did, and then he realized that I've got bolt guns and he's got Terminators with storm shields.
He was like, they're only Imperial Fists.
I think he was more worried, I think, than he needed to be. So it took a while to kind of charge through and start just chopping his way through everything I had. And it did. There was a very great I think it's 4 or 5 battle turns of combat between our respective captains, and it ended up in a draw, which was a shame because I really wanted to kill a character. I needed to kill some more characters.
Well, obviously, yeah.
For my secret mission, I needed to kill characters, and I failed to kill any characters in this mission. I did win, slightly on the points, but my secret mission, I was not getting many secret mission points.
So have you won 3 now and lost 1?
At this point I've won 3 and lost 1.
Nice.
Pro.
I mean, that was really not the point of the event.
Pro.
I mean, at the time I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing good. I'm 3 and 1. In hindsight, that wasn't the right. I don't feel that was the right mentality for me to be having, because they really were they were very much literally using the BCP and the rankings for making sure that equally matched opponents were playing each other. That is so that people who are good are playing each other and people who are either not as lucky or not as proficient are playing each other. So basically people of similar skill levels are playing each other.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But they were also manually adjusting the pairings, which I found out at the end why they were doing that. What was the reason for doing it? I also got some more intel points. I got another lore card, which is cool. Some more GC occult artwork on there, more flavor text, and I got a special bonus reward. I got to heal some battle scars off my unit from Crusade, which was pretty cool. And we did some. I forget which cards I traded. I think I might have used a burn card, the flamer card again. I can't remember, but I got something back that was probably not very helpful to me. But that was the end, and that was mission 4. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get the secret mission for killing characters because I've killed one. In the space of 2 games, I've only killed 1 character. So I'm like crossing my fingers.
So did they explain how you do it? Have you got to have like the highest like number of kills out of all the other people doing that mission, or do you think there was like a? Oh, that was how it was done.
Yeah, they told us at the very end. They awarded they had awards for completing the secret mission, which went to the person who had got the most tally of what their mission was. So whoever in my group, which is group 1, whoever killed the most characters won a special mission trophy.
Nice, that's cool.
Which was cool for them, not for me because I didn't get it. And I was like crossing my fingers, give me like orcs or sisters or something with lots of characters in the final game, or if anything, just not Space Marines, because I had played a lot of them. All heretics as far as I'm concerned, because they were fighting me, the good guys. I was like, please don't give me Space Marines again. I'd like to have something different to play against. And the universe answered. They gave me something different to fight against, but they didn't not give me Space Marines. They gave me Grey Knights for the 5th and final game.
Similar.
And it was a very elite Grey Knight force.
As they often are.
Yeah, I was playing a guy, Damien Price, who didn't originally have a ticket. He'd gone up with some friends, and apparently they had some spare spaces before it started. So
we could have gone.
So you could have, but we didn't. But then he had to like scrabble.
That's true. That did not happen.
He had to scrabble together a list, which was basically 11 Grey Knight Terminators across 3 units, and the super guy from Grey Knights.
Super guy. Which super guy? The recent super guy or the old super guy?
I think one of them. It was an old model.
Oh, Drago.
Yeah, it might have been Drago.
Yeah, Drago sounds more likely. Was he a Terminator?
Yes.
Yeah, Drago.
So there's lots of Terminators, and they are very hard to kill. From Grey Knights, and they throw mine bullets all over the place.
They are very good with the mine bullets.
So this was the last mission from Escape from Pancalis, and it was Assault on the Spaceport.
Mm-hmm.
So in this mission, during lunch, the event team would reset up all the tables so that there would be some building to represent the spaceport in the middle of the battlefield. And
nice.
There would also be 4 objectives in a big line down the middle. So Dawn of War style deployment with 5 objectives across the middle, or one of them in the dead center being the spaceport. And
awesome.
The mission here was like, we've got there's an infestation. But we need to get off this planet. We need to fix the spaceport and get out of here. So the idea was we're going to go in. The forces are going in. They've got to perform actions on all the objectives, so that then that repowers up the spaceport in the center. And at the end of the game, at the end of that match, if all of the objectives have been powered up, then the center objective was worth like an extra 30 points. And then that would represent them the spaceport operation. You can escape the planet. In the game in my match, very bloody, very lots of fighting, and lots of not performing actions on objectives. And I was like running forward, trying to burn those objectives, but I just couldn't get past the Terminators, who were then cutting me down to ribbons. I was able to slowly turn the tide and I did eventually kill all of these Grey Knights who are for some reason not trying to help me get off the planet. I don't know what that's about.
Madness.
Unfortunately, while I was able to win on victory points, I wasn't able to activate the spaceport in time. So narratively for me, while we had found out the mysteries about there's a Jesus occult infestation, by the time the exterminators happened, my boys were still on the planet.
Oh no. That's not good.
That's the story I'm saying. So while I had won that match against these obviously heretical Grey Knights, I didn't actually escape the planet. So my guys suffered on. I assume they were dead on the planet's surface. But that was I thought the end of my story. And then at the end of that match, we traded cards as we're supposed to. And we traded cards, and we each gave ourselves one of these Flamer Burn the Heretic cards. So I wonder what this was all about. Well, what I discovered at the end of this event was that in round 1, or in round 2, when people were first given their decks of cards, the event staff picked, I think it was 5 people at random, to be the first strain of the Gene Stealer cult.
Mm.
And they were given a set of cards that were infection cards to infect other players.
Amazing.
And the only protection was the Flamer card.
Mm.
So when these infected players were playing their games and they kill a character at the end of the match, their role was to give their opponent one of their infected cards.
Gotcha.
Nice.
And if the opponent took the infected card and didn't have the Flamer to defend it, then the staff would come over and they say, "You're part of the Gene Stealer cult now. Here's 5 cards. You have to infect the rest of the event." And by the end of it, I forget how many. There wasn't many of us. I think there's only about 10 or so of us left who hadn't been infected by the end of it. And we got a special, like I was saying, we survived Pancalis and we were not infected.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
And that was a really cool meta game. The things I want to tell you that because I had no idea about this.
And no one gave it up early. Like no one
gave it up early.
Character.
So I was told no one broke character. No one told me. My buddy Spike who came with me. He was annoyed because he got infected in his second to last game.
So he kept it secret even from you then.
He kept it secret from me, and he was probably a bit annoyed.
I love that.
He was a bit annoyed at me because he was playing. I think he was playing great. He was playing Thousand Suns. So I told him, "Oh mate, you should take for your cards. You pick 2. Take these Deny the Witch cards. It'll help you deny the witch against them." And then when he drew his cards, he didn't have any Flamer cards. So then he had nothing to protect him from being infected by the end of the game. So I said, why didn't you use the Flamer cards? Is that because you told me to take the Deny the Witch cards?
Classic.
He blamed it on you, Rich.
Classic.
You did him up.
So he got infected. But yeah, that was a really cool little twist. So they did the award ceremony and then they gave out best armies. There were some brilliantly painted armies.
I'm sure there would be.
Absolutely phenomenal. They had Spirit of the Event. They had Favorite Player, which I believe was Phil Rudd, who I mentioned
well
earlier.
done, Phil.
Yeah, not this Phil, different Phil.
Oh.
I believe it was him. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was. And then they had secret missions, so 5 people got up to collect these. They were the pictures. They were the test tubes that were like neon liquid in them. If you completed a secret mission, which wasn't me with my killing 2 characters over 3 games, but people got those. And then what I actually thought was really nice was they didn't have any kind of like leaderboard list. There was no like this. There's no like, so and so went. If you went 5-0, nothing. No one knows other than you. If that was you, it was just like that was the story. That was the story of the event, and they also give some. They had like a feedback survey for us to give more details on. But I really enjoyed it. I thought there's lots of really different things they tried. I think they tried slightly too many. There's a lots of overlap.
Sounds like a lot of variables.
There's a lot of variables, and this is before. One thing I haven't talked about is the standard Crusade stuff that you're doing in between games. So you're leveling up your guys. Of course. So there's a lot of systems in play. I think overall there was slightly too many, but I applaud them for trying what they did and putting so much like effort and character into all of it. Like we got actually another thing we got a legendary relic. Those of us who survived Pancalis were given another lore card with a legendary relic written by the rules team for Crusade.
Amazing.
Which is some ridiculously overpowered thing. If you ever play Crusade, you're not going to kill my captain. Just saying now. Basically, you have to kill him in one phase. No, you have to kill him in one set of attacks. So not even a phase. Like all his after someone does an attack, it's like, okay, is he alive? No, give me his wounds back.
Well, he's like Croak from Lord Croak from AOS.
Yeah,
he used to have.
Is there any restrictions to what character you can put that on?
Well, it won't be a named character if it's a
no, of course. But is it any character from any faction?
So you have to be non-infected, non-gene stealer, non-infected, non-gene stealer, non-tyrannid, legendary Crusade relic. So you can only give it to a character that you had go to on the event, who took part in the Palace, and has been and has gained access to legendary relics, which I think is like level 3. In terms of
so it might be your character isn't legendary at the moment, but he can obviously go on and play games, but he still keeps the keyword that says he's been in that campaign, so he can then take it later. It's the same with
imagine if you managed to get away with that with a Knight Castellan. Oh, imagine that now, running around, unkillable Knight Castellan. What a treat.
Mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like that kind of system. it basically feels like you've got a history with your army, because it's like for Warzone books. Every time you do a crusade with those war zones, by partaking in a campaign, you gain effectively that Warzone keyword that unlocks those relics and stuff if you've played those games. And then when you go off and play in other war zones, you gain other keywords, but you still have the old ones as well. So I like that you get like a nice little history for your army as you go through and play other campaigns and stuff.
And just on the talk about a castle, and there is a stipulation: if you give it to a vehicle, it's only half the wounds they gain back.
That's something.
So it's something. But I mean, what really came through for me for a crusade is that it's about a bit of fun. It's about leveling up your character, your models, your units. It's definitely not designed to be competitive, as can be seen. No. As soon as you start leveling up your characters, you can quickly see they can become overpowered. Arguably, especially some of the relics you can get later in the game, which was there was a minor, I would say a minor thing was that there was a handful of players, because they didn't have any stipulations on if you could bring an existing crusade force to the event. And I would say there's a handful of players who had definitely done that because they had some characters who were like fully leveled up with lots of bonuses, and some of those bonuses are not balanced in the slightest. There is a system in place to if one player has got like lots of leveled up characters, then the other player gets some bonus CP. But it can only do so much. But those were some rare instances.
Did you play any of those people, or did you just sort of hear about them?
I did not play any of those people, but I did. I know people who did.
Yeah. Do you think if you were to go to another campaign event, you would take this force and carry it over, or would you sort of start again with a brand new crusade force?
That's a really good question. I think I would probably start again. If they did this kind of event again, I would encourage them to make it that you have to bring a new crusade force for one thing.
Yeah, I think that's sensible. But then I suppose it does. If the aspiration of it is that you continue to build a crusade force and you continue to do campaigns with them, then I suppose it is appealing. But I think there needs to be a potential for maybe, because the idea of a crusade force is you add like new data sheets or new crusade
to
cards.
Your roster that you then pick from. So, for example, the people that have bought previous crusade forces, they might have 100 power level roster to pick from. So they might have effectively 2,000 points, but out of that they pick 1,000 points to take to this crusade event. And they could have actually toned their list down and not taken their like special characters and stuff potentially.
Potentially.
It feels like the whole idea of it is to allow people to build up and reuse the same army again and again. But then I can see that you can come across some issues where someone's slightly more like powerful because of the stuff that they've got, and the balancing mechanic doesn't balance it all that much.
Yeah. It's one of the interesting flaws of Crusade for me, though. It's how Games Workshop kind of actualized like the idea of these crusading forces that essentially gain relics and power. It's the fact that there aren't very seemingly sensible mechanics within their system to kind of limit that power creep, like the idea that these guys just keep accumulating stuff. And I know they apparently obviously have a leveling mechanic where obviously if you're playing against someone with a more powerful requisition level or whatever it was called, that you gain additional command points and all these other kind of tools they've tried to do to level it. But then obviously the checks and balances are sort of so heavily weighted in the camp of the guy that's accumulating loads of requisition resource and building these ridiculous units with all these special rules and extra things. It just feels a little bit, again, to me, always my problem with Crusade is I imagine if I did 3 Crusade weekends with a Crusade force, I'd get to a point where I just have an unmanageable, bloated army that I'd just be like, I've no earthly idea of what any of this stuff has anymore. I've basically got an army that I just put it down and it always works or something. And it just, I don't know. Maybe I'm being unfair about it, but Crusade it's weird. It's a weird system to me. I struggle with it a lot, but I don't know, Rich. I mean, how now that you've given it a good, solid experience, I mean, do you actually start to see some balance in that system, or do you think that it's just completely mad, like it's gone too far, or it can go too far?
I would say absolutely you can't go too far, but I think that's kind of by design. Is that you can have these super characters that you've built up with all these super abilities like vortex grenades and the like. I think what's clear is that when the balancing just using CP doesn't, I don't think that really helps it. I think because they stipulated at the beginning that you could only bring an army of 50 power level, and I think if anything that was a good stipulation for like, okay, we'll have the games will be 50 power level in size. I think and I shall put this in my feedback in the survey form. What the thing they should have put a limit on was the Crusade point total for your army, because that's how many upgrades your units have had.
Yeah, that's like your experience points, isn't it?
Yeah, because then you don't want to say to someone you can't bring an existing Crusade force, but you do want to say don't bring one that's ridiculous and they're overpowered. Yeah. Again, because some people are going to bring something completely fresh, and it's like joining a Blood Bowl tournament, say, or Blood Bowl league, and all loads of the teams like they've got 50 games on their belts and you've got none. Those extra rerolls only do so much. Or like you get to get the bone, or you can get buy like, I'm gonna have Morgan Forg and stuff like that into it.
Yeah,
it only does so much to help balance it, and because the way they gave out rewards on the cards and stuff for your force, it was very much the idea that you're going to keep this Crusade force going afterwards, and it's something I'd consider doing because I like the idea of it. I think there needs to be some kind of balance when you play other people, so that you're not just unintentionally steamrolling someone. There's something that's way overpowered.
I think that's always got to be down to the players. It's like, so Mordheim's often seen as like one of the best like campaign games and systems, but it can also be wildly and quite easily broken if the intention of the player is to just game the system and take the most competitive choices all the time. But it's sort of on the onus of the player to actually tone it down themselves, so they're having a fun game and their opponent is having a fun game. And I think that's probably the same with Crusade, because it is just inherently, via the complexity of the experience points mechanics, like really hard to balance one that's more experienced than the other. Like I think Blood Bowl does quite a good job of it, where if one person's got more gold like for their army, like team value, the other person gets a bunch of money to spend on stuff. So it could be spells, rerolls, beer or what have you, or characters like star players and stuff. That's quite a good one. I can't remember Mordheim and Necromunda, like they tend to reward you with more experience afterwards, but it doesn't actually help level the mission that you're currently playing, which is the downside of that one. Like if maybe Crusade, you got a bunch of like relics or special stratagems that you could access, or somehow temporarily buff up your army to be of equivalent experience to balance it out. That would seem a bit more comparable than just giving them free rerolls.
I think one of the things I would say is, I think if you are investing in the idea of playing Crusade, I don't imagine you're particularly too worried about it being balanced, right? But I think it does help the longevity of a game. I think ultimately, if you're going to actually get people invested in the system, it can't just be a mad arms race where you join at level 0 and you're just getting spanked until you get to a point where you've accumulated enough gear that now you're a superior force. I like the fact that Games Workshop are doing these things where they're working with their rules team to introduce unique relics and unique things. And I think that's one of the things that, I'd love to see Games Workshop actually do as an incentive for playing Crusade campaigns with stores, like sending out these kind of cards to be able to run these events in, either Games Workshop stores or independent stockists or just gaming clubs, right? Like actually facilitate that, give us a reason to engage with it, which that would definitely be. But I think, even then though, it's, my thing is that, 40k is a mad old game. I've said it a lot about Crusade. It just always feels a bit too much to me, but I accept that people who are engaging with it probably enjoy the mad over the topness of it and getting to a point where they get like this insane character. I think it would be nice if there was, because one of the things that's unique about Crusade, it doesn't seem to matter what happens to your characters in the games, though, right? It's not like Mordheim, where if my super duper awesome dude dies, then he's dead.
Well, they
You
can
just-
get battle scars, so they can get negative effects. I
Mm.
don't think anyone can outright die.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think so.
Which, to be fair, is in line with 40k's general narrative writing principles, right? It's like, that guy's a named character. Well, he's never dying.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a chance of them dying, it's like going to be super low.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like a 1
no.
followed by a 1 or something, if that really was.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do. But when you're talking about like sending stuff out to stores and stuff, so Blood Bowl really did that when they re-released it in, what was it, 2016. So
Yeah.
if you went to a Warhammer World event, they did special play cards that were like legitimate ones that you could add to your deck and play at other events. And when they did Winter Bowl, I think it was, which was their worldwide league for Blood Bowl, if you went to participating stores, I had a whole deck of cards that you could get for that as well, because I remember trying to hunt some of those down, because it's a bit like Magic the Gathering. It's like these are like tournament legal cards that you can add to your deck when you're doing your deck building stuff. So yeah, it'd be cool if they did stuff like that for these Crusade weekends. I mean, I think if I could go, I would definitely want to almost like keep taking back the same army and growing it over time, because then if you're at the next event, it's like, yeah, this is the force that I took to Pancaris, and it's like they survived or they didn't, but I want to, yeah, I could see the idea of carrying them on at the Warhammer World events, and maybe it's like a Warhammer World specific Crusade force that you just play there, so that they're not overpowered, because you've only like played 3 games before 5 games, and then after the second one you've played 10. It's not like you're playing that Crusade force down at your mates every week, so that it's like super powerful or super experienced.
Yeah.
One
That's the
thing
thing
that-
I was... Oh, sorry, Rich.
one thing that was interesting to try and balance it, they did massively limit the amount of different requisitions you can do for your army, because you get the requisition point system is where you can like add extra power level to your forces or add new units to build into that, and they massively limited that so that someone couldn't have a bigger army by the end of the event than they had at the beginning. Byproduct of that, though, was that for a lot of armies, the only thing you could spend requisition points on was healing your units. Because if you get a battle scar, like Phil said, that if a unit dies and then you roll a 1 for that unit after the game, they get a battle scar. But for a requisition point, you can heal them. So basically, and every game you played, you get a requisition point. So technically, the way it would kind of play out is, if any of your units died and you rolled a 1, or you've got some spare requisition, you just immediately heal them. So they didn't really get any injured at all, because the only thing you can spend your points on is as healing. If you were taking like a min-max approach, that's how you play it. What I found interesting was most of my opponents didn't do that. In that if one of their characters got injured, then they rolled the 1 for the unit and said, oh, he's been injured. They'd roll to see what injury they got, and then they took it. They wanted to keep that story going.
Yeah.
Whereas I saw other players who were just immediately, oh, I'll cancel it out because I've got some spare requisition for this, so it doesn't matter. Whereas other people were like really going into like their forces evolving and it's got a story to tell.
Well, that's cool.
Which I thought was really nice. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, if that happens to any of my characters, I'm doing that.
Yeah, it feels like that's properly embracing the way to play it, as opposed to how can I optimize my army to play as efficiently as possible with that kind of more tournament mindset.
It is interesting for me because, like, I think that's one of the cool things about what you're generally describing is, and what I like a lot about this style of event is tapping in to a different way of playing. You're not there to smash your opponents. You're there to enjoy some fun games and tell stories with your army, which is one of the really, important things that I think without the benefit of a more, robust and varied event scene during the pandemic months and years, I think a lot of people have lost sight of. And I am really grateful to the fact that GW is kind of giving us a demonstration of what might have been happening had it not been for us all being locked up in our homes with the Crusade system. So, and I think that's the thing. I think if the Crusade system was out there and being played and being promoted and having really fun narrative events ran to showcase it over the last few months, I think I'd probably have a different attitude towards it, because that's the sort of gaming these days that I'm most interested in. I think, those kind of narrative gaming opportunities are definitely the things that you really want to kind of get involved with, or you want to sort of play as a, as a more sort of mature gamer, I will say. I think, winning at all costs 40k is fine. I mean, I'm going to another 40k brawl event this weekend to partake in a competitive tournament, because who doesn't love that now and again? But yeah, it's not the be all and end all. So it's really interesting hearing about your experiences with it, Rich. And I think it has given me personally an appetite to throw in for the next one if they do it. I mean, do you get the feeling that they're going to do more of these, or did you think that this was a relative experiment, Rich? What was the vibe?
Oh, this was 100% an experiment. They even prefaced it by saying this is. I think the guy at the event, our guy was kind of semi-joking that this will be the first and possibly last Crusade event, because I think this was an opportunity to test the waters, see how it works. And one thing I will say is I loved it. I loved the event. I loved how they put it on, all the mechanics, the theming they gave it. It was one like the timings with like the 1,000 points on the board. It was one of the nicest and most chilled and enjoyable experience I've had. But I also think they could have done the whole thing without using Crusade. They could have just done it as a 50 power level event or 1,000 point event. They could and just have all the other systems in place. So the concept of is whether they do another Crusade event, which would still be cool because it's nice to level up units, or they just did another narrative themed event using similar systems, or newer, testing out new things like they did this time. I'd love to go to that. Whatever the next narrative or Crusade event is that they're going to put on, I'm going to try and I'll do my best to try and get a ticket, because this was really good fun. It was very different. They tried lots of new things, and I now know more what to expect than I did the first time. So they set this up to not be a competitive event in any way. It was all about a story that you're going to be able to tell, and I think they achieved that. And I'd love to do it to the next one, however it's going to be.
Amazing, mate. Well, I'm really interested to see what happens when we go to this doubles at the end of January as well, because I think as well, like, even this doubles event is a bit more of the old school Warhammer World style event structure, i.e. actually winning all your games probably isn't going to result in you winning, which is a unique and remarkable way of approaching an event. But actually, after reading the rules pack in relative detail, even though they're still using the fixed terrain layouts and other sorts of trappings that are familiar to the more competitive mindset, the way they've structured the point system is that you're gonna, if you win all 5 games, you'll get 15 tournament points. But if you get 5 favorite game votes, you get 15 tournament points. And if you get 5 favorite army votes, you get 15 tournament points. So there's a chance that someone could lose every game but get best army, best player awards for every one of their games, and they'll still potentially win the whole thing with 30 points, versus the guy who maybe stomped everybody, or the team that stomps everybody but didn't get any good votes. So thus, they've just got 15, which is a really interesting system that they're sort of holding on to. But it definitely frees you up in terms of how you're approaching the games, because me and Joe are going to team up, and early doors Joe was like, yeah, we'll just take all the Terminators and smash people. I was like, all right, let's do that. But then when you read the events pack, you're like, maybe we shouldn't do that, because it doesn't seem like what the spirit of the event is.
Yeah, because I think the one time that I think me and Joe teamed up, we came 3rd in the event, but I don't think we won all our games. I think we maybe won 3 of them out and lost 2, but we did quite well on favourite game and favourite army vote, so we managed to just place really well.
I mean, you and me, Phil, we won all our games when we went to a doubles in 2019, and we came 6th or something.
Yeah, it was like 5th or 6th. It was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
people didn't like that Smash Captain. Was it Castellan Knight combo?
It wasn't a Castellan Knight. It was a Night Warden and a Smash Captain.
Was it? I thought it was the punchy one.
No. It was the Warden.
Oh, right.
It was the Warden. Warden's the one with the Gatling cannon and the chainsword.
Okay.
But or Gauntlet. But yeah, that was the combo. But yeah, that Blood Angel Smash Captain back then was so dumb. I'm not surprised we didn't get that many favorite game votes. Although we did all right, but yeah. But again, it just, regardless though, it just changes the tone of the weekend because you just go into it knowing that all you're going to do is hang out with your buddies and play, 5 great games of 40k. And it's, again, if you approach it with that right sort of attitude, then, it's going to be a good time. And, maybe by some weird twist of popularity contest, you're going to win something. And that's lovely as well, to be voted the most popular, which is essentially what it takes to win those kind of events. But, regardless, it's definitely freed up my thinking in terms of how we're approaching it. And also the fact that there are 8 of us going. In fact, Richie's buddy, was it Spike you said his name was?
Yeah, he's coming. Him and our buddy
He's
Scott
coming as well. So technically there's like 10 of us going along. Not that we know Richie's people yet. This is going to be a strange integration. Richie's going to be all guarded with them. I'm sure he'll stick to his own. I'm sure. I know how he is.
I'll introduce everyone to everyone.
Oh, there you go. It's going to be a beautiful thing. But there you go. So yeah, there's going to be 10 of us there. So I guarantee by the end of it, we will have all played each other.
Quite
and
likely.
that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? Like literally every one of us by the end of the weekend was like, so yeah, we played each other. Great. What a weekend. but yeah.
I mean, thinking about it, yeah, if they've got the same amount of tables, we'll have a quarter of the teams because we've got 5 tickets, and assuming that they've got. Wait, I don't know. Maybe I'm adding that up, bro. I am adding it up. We've got like an 8th of the tech players.
It sounds like we've got a decent lion's share.
Yeah.
We need to start.
I think one of our teams is going to play each other at some point.
We need to start dishing out some Lookout Sir t-shirts to everyone.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's how we're going to do it. Take it over.
Obviously, our sister company, our stepsister that we're not attracted to in any way, shape, or form, Rapid Fire Wargaming will be there, so they'll be probably sporting their own merch.
No, they're going to wear ours. They're part of our team for this event.
Is that how it works?
Well, it's my tickets they're using, so yeah, that's how it works.
That's true, and then my tickets as well. So
yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. Me and Richie are bankrolling the event, so
we had the best luck on hitting F5 on the booking of the tickets.
Yes, that was it, really.
Skills.
We should get some Lookout Sir pin badges or something, though. We can have those and look all super cool.
Yeah, that dice tray I've got that Tim sorted me out with, the Lookout Sir dice tray, is pretty cool. We should get some of those, more of those.
For sure, yeah, I could do with a dice tray.
Mate, those are wicked. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm excited to get back into 2022 and start doing proper gaming events, because don't get me wrong, this year I've really enjoyed going to a bunch of indie, competitive tournament events around the country. London Grand Tournament was a really interesting weekend, and various other events that I've attended, the 40k Brawl stuff that I've been involved with. It's all been really cool, but there's nothing quite like a weekend away in Nottingham at Warhammer World with all your mates and getting into some real serious hobby mojo, as it were. I'm well excited about what's ahead, and I'm jealous in a way that Richie got to go early, but then I've no one to blame but myself for not having been able to buy myself a ticket. But that's exciting, and it sounds like a great event, and I'm really hopeful that down the road we'll also get to attend a Crusade weekend and give that a try. Because it should be fun. But mate, cheers Rich for coming on and sharing your experience with that. I'm conscious of how long all of our episodes have been lately and how much time we don't have left on our servers, so I reckon this is a perfectly adequate way to end the show, unless Phil really desperately wants to record an awkward outro segment.
No, well, I think we sort of weirdly bled into it. I think
that's sort of where I was sort of thinking as well. Yeah, so I suppose all there is to do is say thank you to all those lovely patrons out there who support us and, allow us to become absolutely ad-free and continue to do so, but just support the show in general. We promise that the plan is for next year that we're going to be actually scoping out what it is that we'll be offering to patrons in way of, something nice, because obviously throughout the course of this year, we just kind of introduced it. But yeah, we're overwhelmed by the support that we've received for that so far. It's really appreciated, and we definitely understand that, not even understand, we just really want to actually give something back to you guys who are supporting us. So we're definitely going to evaluate that with what we're going to be looking at for next year. But thanks for that. Thanks to everyone who's taken the time to leave us 5-star reviews. I know I will have already said that in the 5-star review segment, but it's super awesome of you. and to those that have considered picking up some merch. Christmas is coming soon. Phil should have done some new Christmas designs, really, but he hasn't.
I'll have a think about it. Oh, well, I'll just knock out the Christmas tree "Look Out, Sir" that we do every Christmas.
Brilliant. Just bash out some old thing.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's how merch design works.
That's it. And yeah, and it is official. We are now going to be doing Big Fat Quiz of the Year 2021
or
as well,
its
aren't we? That's
new, trademark correct phrases. It's going to be the end of the year quiz.
Yeah, because we got a lot of heat from the actual fans of Big Fat Quiz of the Year for it not being one of those actual things. I used a lot of Big Fat Quiz of the Year tag words.
Oh,
in
well, maybe
in
that was the
thing.
problem.
Well, also the logo was very similar. And,
it's a parody, obviously.
absolutely, well, it was a parody, just a very similar parody. But there you go. So no, I need to. So tomorrow, recording on Thursday. Tomorrow, I'm down at Factorum with Joe. I'm going to figure out what the specs are for the size and shape of tables and things we're using, and me and my old man are going to build a really shoddy set to those specifications.
Brilliant.
So that's going to be fun. I've invested in some new microphones. Hopefully the audio quality will be a bit better. Although I'm lacking one. I've got 4 microphones. I need to get a 5th microphone. But they're quite expensive, Phil. They're quite expensive. So I need to work that out. But anyway, we'll talk about that.
You're basically hitting up the Patreon fund, is what you're saying.
Possibly. That's what it's there
exactly.
for, Phil. That's what it's there for, I mean, this is improving those quality things. And then we'll get that sorted. So that's going to be going out New Year's Day. Because again, it's worked out really nicely this year because we're going to be able to put out our Christmas episode or a episode on Christmas Day. And then we're going to put out an episode on New Year's Day. And then we're going to probably take a break. I think we're going to talk about this obviously at the time, but we're probably going to take a week off. So the week commencing 3rd of January, I think we're going to give it some breathing space, and then we'll probably come back from Saturday the 15th of January and get into the rhythm of whatever it is that we're doing in 2022. Because essentially the way it works is me and Phil have a conversation towards the end of the year and figure out how we're actually going to do this. So this year it was, let's just smash out an episode every week, but it's killing me. I'm so dead inside. Whenever Phil tells me that there's a book that needs reviewing, a little bit of me dies inside. I'm like, no, God, no, not more codex.
I think we were both glad when we saw the Custodians and Gene Stealer Cult Codexes were delayed until next year. We were like,
oh, thank God, yeah.
We can finally talk about some fun things.
I know, right? And again, I don't want to sort of like suggest that it's not an enjoyable process doing it. It's just that, that sense of like, sometimes it's the last thing you want to do is get up off your sofa. Normally when we record, I've probably just eaten something, and now it's like, gotta go and record. I just want to sit here and play Halo, but now I've got to go and record for however long this is. But Halo, first world problems. I do love it, and that's the thing. I complain about it, but I love this show. I love doing it. It's awesome. And we want to continue doing it, as is obviously the plan. So, yeah, looking forward to 22. But anyway, yeah, so Big Fat Quiz of the Year. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, those that bought merch. Thank you, people who left 5-star reviews. And thank you for just listening. And obviously, thank you, Rich, for joining us as well. Always a pleasure to have you here. And how's the quiz looking for Big Fat Quiz, Rich? You making good progress?
I am making progress on it now.
I've already got 2 people locked in for guest questions.
Ooh.
Yeah, we've got. I can't spoil it because it will surprise people. It will surprise and delight our fans. The guest appearances that we've been
if
able
one of them
to
isn't
get.
Toke, I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, so far Toke isn't on that list, but obviously we can look at Toke. But Toke appeared in the last one. We can't just have Toke on everything.
That's what he's there for.
Oh,
These
just because you're
boys.
in love with Toke doesn't mean everyone
you're
else
going to
is.
meet him next weekend, and you'll fall in love with him too.
Oh God, yeah! Next weekend's Rapid Fire Wargaming, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, God, it's all happening. I'm excited about that one. I'm really gutted I couldn't finish my army in time for it, but now I'm going to take Dark Angels, so I'm probably just going to win.
Yes.
No, probably not. I've seen some of the other lists that are kicking around. I don't think my relatively fluffy firstborn Dark Angel army is going to hold the torch, but we'll see. We'll see. What are you going for, Phil? You doing Krieg?
Well, yes, I will be, because I just can't rush. Can't rush the Contemptors. So yeah, sadly, my Minotaurs will have to stay home and have their unveiling at another event.
Richie, what's your army of choice, mate?
I was going to take my Red Scorpions, but I might take...
You're not going to get that Orc army done in time for that?
Hell no. Absolutely no chance. I've got one model of that. I don't even know what that Orc army's going to be.
Richie's doing Orcs for the doubles, just for reference for people. But normally Richie has an incredible skill of bashing out armies in like a half an hour.
Well, exactly, because we didn't actually say, but you pretty much painted your Crusade force, right, for the event.
I painted half of it in a week, yeah.
That's the wonders wonders of contrast, everyone.
It's like Richie and Phil are, two sides of the same person, as it were. It's like as hobbyists, the two different extremes. It takes Phil 8 years to paint an army. It takes Richie 8 weeks to paint 5.
I know, it's impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just very good at leaving it too late to do it in a nice padded out time. So like, I've painted a lot of models in a short space of time. I guess I'll be doing
smash out that contrast.
You try painting yellow,
mate. I'd contrast yellow every time. To be fair, every time. I need to work out what because I'm thinking of doing Elder for the doubles tournament at the moment. I'm thinking of doing Craftworld Aeldari. I'm trying to work out what version of it I'm thinking of, because I'm basically throwing out all of my old Elder stuff to start afresh, because I just it's just such a weird collection built up over such a weird period of time. I just need I need a fresh start on the elves. Because, I basically have like 10 years worth of Elder stuff at different stages, and I just, start again. But we'll see how it goes. I need to convince Joe to go back to playing Drakari or Harlequins or something. Or I suppose he could just play his Chaos Space Marine army that he's running. We'll figure it out. I'm going to chat to him about it tomorrow. But, thanks everyone. Super awesome. Another episode in the bag. Can't remember which number it is. Is it 112? 112. Yeah. 112. There it is. Out of sight. Thanks very much, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.